All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you are new here. Thank you all so much for joining me today and for waiting patiently for the intro to finish up. I hope everybody is doing well today. Yep, you got it, Tarnished. What is going on? Yeah, it is Sunday, July 19th. 2026, and we have topics. We have topics to go over and talk about. But we must acknowledge the fact that Sony still hasn't responded. They won't say nothing. They don't want to respond. They won't stop. Well, I guess maybe that's the wrong way to say it. They won't show themselves. But yes, we have topics to discuss. Oh, no, it was nothing, Irfan. No, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. My name is John. That's all I'm saying. You can call me John. You can call me MBG. PlayStation devs are fine. Well, we're going to talk about that. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment, Mustafa. Appreciate that. To those that support digital games, your license is tied to your PSN account. You do not own that account. It's property of PlayStation. They are free to revoke or terminate at their discretion. That is true. Yeah, that's something we have talked about, and we will continue to discuss, certainly, as we go into the future, where if we are going into a digital-only future, we need better rights. We need better consumer rights, ownership, real ownership over digital purchases. That doesn't exist at the moment except for GOG. Titus, what's up? Gordon, hope you guys are doing well today. MBG, did you hear the leak of the PlayStation 6 being a handheld with a Pro version big console? I did hear that. I don't know where that leak came from. I don't think it's from an actual source. I think it is speculation. I think there's now speculation that the base model PlayStation 6 is going to be a kind of Switch-like device where it will be dockable, and that's going to be like the main PlayStation 6. And Sony's going to release the PlayStation 6 Pro, which will be like the traditional powerful home console. That's not a handheld at all. It's an interesting theory, I have to admit. It's a very interesting theory, and it would be a very interesting strategy for Sony to deploy going into next gen. An unexpected one. Raven, yeah, I saw that. That's very strange. It was just a theory. Oh, it was speculation from Mystic's podcast. Okay, yeah, I didn't see anything being reported where it was like an insider was giving information saying like this is Sony's plan. I don't know if they would do something like that. It seems a bit too risky even for Sony. Yeah. Yeah, that's strange to me though, Irfan. That's strange to me that he's like blacklisted in that way because he's the only one, as far as I'm aware, who actually leaked the PlayStation 6 specifications and APU. And he leaked the PS5 Pro specifications. In fact, the leak was so accurate that Sony tried to sue him for it. They say you folded, MBG. Yeah, they say a lot of things, don't they? They say a lot of things. I folded. Yeah. Yep. There it is. Why do I get the feeling I could not fold and people would say I folded? But to be honest, I'm not really too concerned or preoccupied with what other people are saying. I'm concerned about what I'm saying here to you guys. And I'm concerned about what you're saying. All the extra noise is just that. I can't do anything about it. But yeah, we are continuing down this road where it is day 19 and PlayStation, you know, they're marketing their games as they normally would, and it's not going well. We're going to talk about reports of some PlayStation 5 developers seemingly becoming frustrated or just flat out unhappy with the current situation that's going down with PlayStation and how, you know, developers are potentially, we're going to talk about the idea of developers possibly no longer wanting to really pay money to Sony for marketing, knowing that if you're trying to advertise your game, all that's going to happen is it's going to get demolished. You know, Sony has created a PR problem for themselves, and the problem isn't going away. You know, we're 3 weeks into it. It's still here. It's pretty much all, I don't want to say everybody's talking about, but it dominates the conversation. Vlund with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Vlund. He says, new AI called Kimi K3 was able to make Windows XP on your browser, and you can even play GTA Vice City, no installation. We're not even going to need an OS soon. That is wild. That's the first I'm hearing of that, Vlund. Jeez. You're not even going to need an operating system. You're not even going to need an operating system. That's crazy. I might have to look into that. Kimi K3. So it gives you the operating system, no installation, and you can play GTA Vice City. Okay. I guess this is the future. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. By the way, guys, as we go further into the stream, do me a big favor if you haven't already. Take a moment, hit that like button. We're already over 50 likes, which is great to see. Thank you guys for that. Hitting the like button lets me know you enjoy the streams, and it also helps tremendously with YouTube's algorithm and brings new people in. We've gained a lot of new people this month so far, so welcome if you are new, but continue to hit that like button because it certainly helps. And if you want to support what I do here directly, there are a couple of ways in which you can do that. You can become a channel member. You can gift memberships. If we hit 25, well, Boss was over here, but we'll feed the beast. You can drop a super chat like Sean and Vlund here, or you can drop a direct donation. I'm completely fan-funded. I can only do what I do here because you guys make it possible. So a big thank you and shout out to everybody who supports directly. And I do want to let you guys know that we will be bringing back members content. Okay, members content has been on a somewhat long hiatus because there's been a lot going on, but this upcoming week we're going to be bringing it back. The two things I plan to deliver for channel members is gameplay commentary, pre-recorded gameplay commentary, and the members lounge is going to come back, where after some streams we do, we'll go into the members lounge and hang out with deeper levels of engagement with the community. Sean Mitchell with a 10-pound super chat says, MBG, have you seen PlayStation are supposedly releasing a physical edition for Silent Hill, the short message, for $70? That's wild considering it's free and also only a couple of hours long. I did see that, Sean. I'm not sure if Sony's involved in that or not. I think that might be a Konami thing. But I did see that there is apparently a physical version. And you know what's interesting about that, though, Sean, is people are going to pay for it because that's the thing. People who want physical games like that, they are willing to pay a premium. You know, it may not be a lot of people, and I do think that is very expensive for something that is, you know, very, very, very short. I mean, it is called the short message, right? But I did see that, and it's just strange to me, Sean. You know, it's strange to see there's so many developers and publishers coming out and confirming that their game is getting a physical release, and even first-party Sony developers like Insomniac and Sony Santa Monica both confirming like, hey, don't worry, we are releasing our game on a physical disc. It's just weird to see this because it's like, it feels like Sony, and by Sony, I mean like the executives who have made this decision, it feels like they're completely disconnected from even their own development studios, where their studios are getting out in front of this, being like, don't be upset with us, we're putting out a game disc. It's not our fault. And clearly they want to do that. And then you see third-party publishers. For example, I have a report here. Bring it up if I didn't lose it. Yeah, so it says, promising new medieval vampire role-playing game, The Blood of Dawnwalker, will be, hallelujah, released on a good old-fashioned disc. The game's director told me in a recent interview, smiling, stating simply, quote, yes, it is coming to the disc. And it's worth noting that they confirm here it will contain the full game on the disc. So all the data is there. The reason why that's relevant is because Halo Campaign Evolved is about to launch. There is a physical disc copy you can buy. You need to be connected to the internet, even though it's mostly single player. And if you're playing single player, you have to be connected to the internet. It doesn't have all the data on the disc, but at least for The Blood of Dawnwalker, It's the opposite. And this is where you're beginning to see the situation has gotten so bad. There is so much ire. Is the volume low? The situation is so bad. People are so mad that, you know, publishers and developers, like I said, are now coming out and confirming they're getting out ahead of it. We are releasing a physical disc version, and people are very happy to hear that. Guys, before I proceed, is the volume okay? Irfan, it might be on your end. On my end, it's saying that the levels are good. Yeah, and Irfan, that article you sent me, we're gonna cover that tomorrow, hopefully. The Crunchyroll situation is the same. We did talk about that a little bit, yeah. But the Blood of Dawnwalker, this is a game that I think a lot of people are feeling good about. You're getting ads again. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. Let me turn off the monetization. I don't know. Okay. All right. I switched it up again. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. If I have to turn monetization off again, I will. Hopefully it won't become a continuous problem. But the Blood of Dawnwalker is a game that a lot of people are looking forward to. It's got a lot of excitement around it. You know, former CD Projekt Red devs. But it's like I said, the conversation around the game, you know, reports are, yeah, it's getting a disc. I just don't know how Sony's going to go into next generation and deal with this. Where, I mean, maybe they really are just hopeful that in the coming months, this just goes away. But I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. I've been covering PlayStation for many, many years. I've also been covering Xbox for many, many years. I've been covering the industry as a whole for many, many years. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this where, I mean, you are seeing the player, not the entire player base, of course, but the player completely at odds with the company. And the company is just completely tone deaf. They're not, like, they released a new Wolverine trailer. And at the end of that Wolverine trailer, they showed the disc model PlayStation 5 next to the digital model PS5. And I'm like, that's insane. This feels so tone deaf. It's kind of insane. Where it's like you're showing that after you made the announcement that this is going away. Okay, that's a choice. Some people look at it as maybe there's hope. I mean, I had somebody come into my channel, what was it? I think on my last stream, and they said that they work with PlayStation, and they were saying that behind the scenes, yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people, a lot of developers that are not happy with this, and they're hearing it. Like the message is coming through, but it really does seem like Sony doesn't want to back down unless they're thinking about it. Maybe who knows? Maybe if we're looking at the bright side of it, Sony is taking time. It's taking them so long because they're trying to figure out, how do we undo this? Can we undo this? We had this all planned out for next gen, but I don't know about that. You're giving me pure anxiety at the moment. Sorry, Mikey. Sorry. Yeah, we have until January 2028, or at least Sony has up until that point to kind of reverse their decision. But why haven't any big publishers come out to say anything? And yes, that's another important thing here. So according to Moore's Law is Dead, he was, and to be honest, I don't know how much of this is really considered a leak. I'm going to bring up a clip. All right. I'm going to bring it up and I want to watch it with you guys. It's short, but I think it's important. So give me just a moment to bring it up. Always takes too long for this. I apologize. I think, yeah, I had it up and ready to go, right? Yeah. Okay. Bear with me one second. All right. So yeah, this is from, I think his latest podcast he did. Check this out.
That is as important as canceling your PlayStation Plus, because that really screws with their relationships with developers. This is a thought I stumbled into on that recent Sacred Plus recording, is anytime you see PlayStation, the Twitter account, post GTA 6 pre-orders open now, and there's more comments than there are upvotes, and all of the comments are, get f***ed. Do you think Rockstar likes that? And remember, those tweets are paid for by the companies or as part of some marketing deal. So when Assassin's Creed Black Flags comes out, and I know the game's selling well.
Whoa, what did he say?
They want marketing deals with Sony to show that they were worth doing. Do you think Sony is, when they get the call to check on things after the marketing push, I guess there's this big exclusive PlayStation marketing push. I looked it up for like Assassin's Creed Black Flags Resynced. Like, do you think Ubisoft in that call is going to go, yeah, for the next Assassin's Creed, or for Far Cry 7, which is rumored to be announced somewhat soon. For Far Cry 7, we definitely want that only PlayStation marketing campaign when everything you posted had a turd emoji on it. No, they're going to say, it kind of seems like we didn't get our money's worth, Sony. And are you really sure you want to go through with this?
Yeah.
All of these tweets from Sony for their partners, that was paid for or part of some marketing deal, making that a failure. Ultimately, that's why I think the AMD FSR 4.1 thing worked, is Lisa Su looked at that and said, we can't even talk to Mercedes publicly without all of the comments being shit posts. And then went, how much does it cost for us to support RDNA 3 with FSR 4, really? And then they told her some insignificant number. Well, they're becoming a $1 trillion company. And she's like, yeah, I would like our marketing division back. Please, could we just do the minimal thing for our fans, you guys? Well, who has made this decision? That sort of a thing could happen at Sony if all of their partners go, yeah, we don't really like the marketing pushes with you anymore. Obviously, we're still making a lot of money and whatever, but it doesn't really seem like it's as worth it anymore for you to be the lead sponsor. You'll still probably get most of the sales. That's really important. Mm-hmm. And I tweeted that today, reminding people of this. And a developer reached out to me and said, some info about your Ubisoft tweet. Sony gives a developer one free post when they release for the first time and on major updates like games leaving beta. Most other slots they have to beg for or pay for, like you suggested. And actually the social media slots are locked in for months. I have to say, if this backlash happened to my game when my slot was up to be used, it would be awful. And I would be really pissed with Sony and probably argue that doesn't count.
Oh, hold on. I want to keep that screen up. So, yeah, this is where you can see, like, this is where it's just kind of sad to see the situation playing out the way it is, because developers, especially indie devs, it's a lot of indie developers who are spending who knows how many years, how much money, to make these games, and they pay Sony probably a lot of money. If we're being realistic, considering how big Sony's socials are, they're probably paying them a lot of money to get a trailer on the PlayStation YouTube channel, to get a blog post, to get a tweet and stuff like this. And imagine you're one of these developers and this is what you see. Your post is getting hammered. I mean, how long can that go on for until devs and somebody had asked me the question, like, how come no publishers are speaking out against it? Well, because it's a double-edged sword here. On one hand, the big publishers absolutely want Sony to go all digital, and they want an all digital future because they're going to make more money, not just Sony, the publisher as well. But on the other side of that, you have what we're seeing right now, where I hope you're okay with every single post for your marketing that goes out getting obliterated. And maybe it will be a situation at the end of the day where it's like, oh, it didn't actually have a deleterious effect on our bottom line, so it therefore doesn't matter. Maybe that will be the result, but I'll tell you what, I saw at least one developer who, had their post retweeted by the official PlayStation account, and they basically had to put out a post being like, guys, we'd love to do a physical version. We can't. It's not up to us. We're too small. And I'm like, this is crazy that this is happening in this way, where it's like, it is frustrating because all Sony has to do is acknowledge it and change it and change it, you know? But they're not. You're saying I had way different energy a bit ago? What do you mean by that? You're saying this definitely works with Xbox, but with Sony it's hard because they're the market leader. And yeah, and that's the thing. This is their market dominance kind of doing its thing, right? Where they're just like, it'll like what's really going to happen. And it's tough. It's tough, you know, because it's why when I was talking on my last stream, I'm like, I don't know if the boycott's going to work or not. You know, I think people who are leaving, anybody who's leaving is hopeful that it will do something, you know? I seemed like I was kind of giving up. Well, no, yeah, people were coming at me with that. It's like, it's not a matter of giving up. I'm a human being, you know. I'm just one dude, you know. I try to tell people, and granted, I did this to myself. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm out here like, I'm not doing this, and I'm taking my stand, and I'm telling you exactly how I'm doing it. I did that to myself, so I don't blame anybody for, you know, being all over my case. But the important thing here is I don't think people should be focused on me. I don't think people should be focused on any one individual or even a small group. What people need to be focused on is the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture does look something like this. Sony is ushering in the digital-only era, okay? And when they do this, come January 2028, you will have no recourse. You will have options, but they will all be digital. So you don't have to stay on PlayStation. You can go to Steam, but it's also digital. You can go to GOG, where that's the only place you can actually own your games, but GOG doesn't get nearly as many games. Okay? You can go to Nintendo, but probably more than half the games you buy aren't actually going to be true physical, right? You can go to Xbox. They're doing the same thing. And the bigger picture here is if we can't save physical games on the PlayStation side of things, then the only thing we can hope for, is fighting for better terms of service, fighting for the consumer rights to have some semblance of ownership digitally. And that's going to be a long, brutal, arduous, tiring, exhausting fight that I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I think eventually it will happen, but it's like, it's not going to be, in my opinion, based off of the, you know, analyzing the playing field, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Although, if this does go through, there is a genuine argument to be made that if Sony pushes this through and they never walk it back and time moves forward, we're here. It's January 2028, and this is it. This is the end. It's truly the end, right? There's no more physical PlayStation games or just no more physical games outside of some game key cards from Nintendo. If that's where we are, it might become a lot easier for the government and legislation to get involved, you know? But people are going to have to push for it. People are going to have to fight for it. And Sony's hoping that they have a lot of time before they have to worry about that. But yeah, I just wanted to read this here because it says, this is a quote from a developer. This developer got in contact with Moore's Law is Dead. I have some info for you in response to that Ubisoft tweet. Sony often gives developers a free tweet when a game first releases, and sometimes when there's a major update like a game leaving beta. However, these all occupy slots that are in high demand and in limited quantity each day by many developers looking to promote their games at what they believe to be an optimal time. As such, if there's a specific time you want your PlayStation tweet to drop, you often have to beg profusely or pay tens of thousands of dollars to secure it dropping in the exact day or time. If this backlash happened when my game was releasing, I would demand a redo or at least be very upset with Sony. And, you know, this is why I'm saying, even with the big developers, like Sony just posted about Halo. Okay? Sony just posted about Halo on their Twitter account. And I had to leave a comment because this is genuinely the first thought that came to my mind when I saw this post from PlayStation. I'll read it to you. So PlayStation tweets Ready, Chief, just over a week until Halo Campaign Evolved hits PS5 on July 28th. And I had to respond, and I said, what should have been one of the biggest PR wins in gaming history and in the history of your brand is now tarnished over your decision to end physical PlayStation games. And this person says, please remove PlayStation from your bio. You are full anti-PlayStation right now and should embrace it instead of having a false statement of what you are now. Apparently, you can only be PlayStation-centric if you're PlayStation positive. This person says you should win the best PlayStation fan scam award in history, you fake fanboy. Okay, I gotta say, first time I've ever been called a fake fanboy. That's crazy. That's a new one. Never encountered that before. But anyway, the reason why I posted that is because it's true, man. This is frankly nonsensical to me. This is nonsensical to me, where it's like Halo is dropping on PlayStation, and this should be a moment where it's just a universal, unequivocal win for PlayStation because it's unthinkable, or at least it was for decades. Like, this is the impossible. The impossible is happening. What is going on? But at least on the social media side of things, and I'm not saying social media is real life. Of course, Halo's probably going to do well on PlayStation, and it just is crazy to me that like Sony has gotten in their own way in this way, where it's like, I'm kind of impressed. I have to admit, it's kind of impressive to me that somehow Sony gets Halo on PlayStation, and by the time it's getting ready to release, at least on the social media side of things, almost nobody cares. Sony's just getting wrecked, absolutely demolished. Again, I'm not here to tell you it's going to have an actual bottom line impact. I don't know. I do not know the outcome of that. But what I can tell you is that Microsoft likely paid a lot of money for that tweet, and it's getting demolished. It's just a situation where if you are a developer, and possibly even if you're a publisher, you're looking at the amount of money you're paying for this marketing, and you're looking at, again, every single post, it's people, whether it's a minority or not, is irrelevant, right? Because here's the thing. If people say all this noise you're seeing surrounding the pushback to PlayStation, it doesn't matter and it's not real, then I ask you, is marketing, does marketing matter? Is marketing not real? Because I'll tell you what, every single video game company, every single video game developer understands the importance of marketing. Where do you market? You market on social media. What's the biggest part of social media marketing? People replying, people interacting, people engaging. People who are trying to convince themselves that what's happening right now doesn't matter, please try to understand. I'm not trying to convince you that this is the big wave that's going to knock the boat over, but understand it does matter. Understand that PlayStation is seeing this. They are monitoring the situation. Developers are seeing it. Developers are monitoring the situation and probably getting very frustrated. And I assure you, are there ads still playing on the stream? Hold on. Let me see if I can take care of that now. I don't know why it keeps happening. I'm just gonna turn monetization. See, this is tough, man. They're putting me in a tough position. The only option they're giving me is to completely turn off monetization, and I'm gonna be honest, that will hurt me. Here, I'm setting it to manual again. Let me know if you guys have any issues with it. I apologize. Yeah, I can't. If I turn off monetization, it's going to legitimately hurt the stream. But I have it set to manual. Hopefully, it won't play anything in the interim now. But it's just something I'm trying to express to people that like it does matter. And I know that I know there are a lot of people who have this view of Sony now, and I don't blame them for it because it unfortunately is mostly true. They have this view of Sony where it's like Sony just looks at the numbers. They just look at the spreadsheets, they look at the bottom line, and if things are good on that end, they're not worried. They're not going to do anything. And I agree with that. That unfortunately that is the Sony PlayStation we have in the year 2026, where Sony doesn't care about the feedback. They don't care about the noise on social media. They care, they have to care to an extent where it's like, keep an eye on it. Hopefully it'll go away. And what are our partners saying? So to that extent, they have to care. But generally speaking, it's like they're going to look at that and they're going to say, but is it affecting our bottom line? And if the answer is no, that's kind of where we hit that impasse, where this is why you see people getting so nuts and trying to aggressively boycott, because it's all in the hopes that Sony will listen, you know? And I understand people are getting tired of hearing about this. I understand that there are some people where they're like, geez, can we just talk about other topics? But please, again, understand, go anywhere and try to avoid this. This is why I'm saying, like, how long will Sony allow this to go on for? Because if there's one thing that's become clear is you're no longer going to be able to engage with PlayStation's socials unless it's to shit on them. You're no longer going to be able to do anything on the internet relating to PlayStation without this being a dominant force attached to it. And that's not going away. And this is why I was saying a greater fight probably comes ahead. It's ahead of us, right? With the PlayStation 6, because you better believe Sony is sitting around thinking, by the time we get to the PS6, nobody's going to care. And it's like I told you guys, it's not like people are just going to stop buying games. It's not like everybody's just going to stop spending money on PlayStation. That's not going to happen. People are going to buy and play Wolverine. People are going to buy and play GTA. Sony's going to probably have a record-breaking holiday season. And it's going to be easy for Sony to just sit back and be like, this is why we ignore you. But the problem comes after that, where the problem is the PlayStation 6 is coming, and when it does, everybody's happy on PlayStation 5. You need to try to sell this thing to people. This is your next generation. You're going to have to once again remind everybody in the room, Sony, yeah, this is digital only. We're not doing discs. Unless there's some major, and I mean major caveat here, where Sony comes out and they're like, guys, all we said is we're not producing discs anymore. That's because we're doing cartridges now, or like memory, just something, flash drives. I don't know. We're doing a different format for physical media. Unless they come out and announce some crazy plot twist like that, which it doesn't seem like they're going to, then it is unfortunately a situation where, yeah, they're just kind of hoping that by the time we get to the PlayStation 6 reveal event, people are moved on. I'm looking around, and I'm just here. I'm here to tell you, as somebody who has been covering the games industry and PlayStation for close to a decade at this point, okay, and I mean really paying attention, I have never seen anything like this. The closest thing I've seen is the Xbox One reveal, but at that time, it felt like a much more cataclysmic event because you had both Sony and Microsoft in the ring fighting each other, and everybody was, doing their thing. This is different because it's more isolated. It's something that Sony didn't want to be an event. Sony didn't want this announcement to be eventful. They wanted it to be forgotten in a week, and it has turned into an event. It has turned into an event that is not going away. And, there's a lot of people that I encounter and are like, Sony's not going to change their mind on this. They're not going to change their tune. Everybody may as well just give up, right? I want to remind people that it took Microsoft 29 days, pretty much an entire month, which is crazy when you think about it, to reverse their decision with the Xbox One. And that was a much more serious decision, that like I genuinely believe they had to rework some things. This is where people shouldn't give up. And I know people were, on my last stream and they're like, you're giving up. And it's at no point that I say I was giving up. I'm just expressing the fact that, dude, I have an attachment to PlayStation. Like literally, physically, that's where I play and that's where I spent my time and money. This matters to me. And Michael Membership Wernath, he comes in, he kicks it off today and he says, we're dropping 10 member gifts. Michael.
Holy shit.
Thank you so much for that. He wants the member train. I'm going to add that to the goal. And guys, reminder, if you get gifted a membership or if you do become a member, we have member content. Member content is coming. The first thing I hope to release for you guys in the next couple of days is member exclusive gameplay commentary. Okay, I've never done gameplay commentary on my channel. I'm kind of excited to do it because it's something I've always wanted to do. And I figured, you know what? This would make for great members content, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. So if you are a channel member, please look forward to that. And we will be bringing back the members lounge as well. We'll probably do a members lounge later in the week. So you can also look forward to that. And Michael, thank you so much. Like I said, guys, if you want to support what I do here, consider becoming a member. Consider gifting memberships. You guys keep this thing going, and I'm very grateful for that. All right. I have to read Makwi Ninja's super chat. He drops a $2 chat, and he says PS6 announcement will just be all disc comments, or all the comments will be about the disc. Exactly. And that's where I question, Sony, how are you planning on getting over this hump? They already, in my opinion, Sony already had a mountain to climb. Oh, there's Luna. Guys, we got to hit 25 members. Luna's here. She expects treats. The beast has arrived, and she expects to be fed. Don't make Michael do it alone. But I already believed that Sony, they already had a mountain to... The cat spawned. Yeah. They had a mountain to climb with the PlayStation 6. Like, I've had... If you go back and look at my previous streams for the last 2 years, especially the last year, you will see how there are so many streams literally dedicated to talking about how difficult it's going to be for Sony and thinking, what are they going to do? And they just made that mountain even taller for themselves. And Hellbound 1981, another legend. He comes in, he sees Luna, he gets excited. He wants to feed the beast. He keeps the member train rolling. He drops another 5 member gifts. And just like that, guys, we are at 15. We only need 10 more to hit the goal. Luna has now taken the higher ground to assert her dominance. Luna has taken the higher ground to let you know she's in position, she's ready. Michael says, help me, MBG community, you're my only hope. Yeah, really appreciate that, Hellbound. Thank you guys so much for the support. We'll see. We'll see if we can feed Luna here. But yeah, Makwi Ninja, you're not wrong. As soon as we see the PlayStation 6 announced, it's just going to be dominated by this conversation. And I just don't know. Surely Sony knows that, or maybe they didn't, and they're realizing that now. Like, geez, this is all people are going to talk about. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Look at the Wolverine trailer that just came out looks amazing. Literally one of the best trailers I've seen for a game. I'm like, this is incredible. But you see just look at what everybody's saying. Nobody's talking about the game. No, this is when Wolverine reviews come out, nobody's going to talk about the actual game. It's just going to be dominated by this. This is why I'm like, Sony, you need to do yourselves a favor and you need to reverse this decision. I just cannot believe they are this dense. I always knew they were dense. I always knew that they didn't really care that much. But like, this is reaching levels of pry your eyes away from your bottom line for just a moment, just long enough to realize that there's something on fire here. You started that fire. You need to put it out. And you just got to do one thing. And it's just say, we're reversing our decision. We hear you guys. We're bringing back physical game discs for the PS6. That's it. That's all you have to do. And I'm not here to say that it's going to make everything okay, but my God, will people celebrate. The PR win, like, I just wish I could get it through the heads of the executives of, like, do you not understand the level of win you will get? Not everybody. I mean, obviously, there's people where the bridge is burnt, but this will be such a win. But why do I have the feeling that a lot of these executives at PlayStation, they have the opposite mentality where they're like, we're just going to be viewed as weak. Every time we want to make a decision, people are going to think that they can just scream and yell and we'll just listen every time. And I really hope that's not the mentality they have, because it's like, no, nobody thinks that. Everybody understands that there's always going to be times where mountains are made out of molehills. This isn't one of those times. And I just think it's insane that I still encounter so many people. They're like, it's over, give it up. It is, it's like less than 10% of people. I'm like, dude, get out of here. Like this, every PlayStation content creator, every person who covers gaming, this is still the dominant topic, even when things are happening. I really just don't understand why people continue to pretend the elephant isn't still in the room. And the elephant is in the room. It's going to remain in the room. The elephant isn't going anywhere. Whether you play the games or not, whether you give Sony your money or not, whether Sony responds or not, Sony placed the elephant in the room. They're not acknowledging it, and it's just here. And it's going to be here. I don't want to say forever, because maybe that's hyperbolic, but it's like certainly going into the PS6 and beyond. Hang tight, Luna. Guys, we need 10 more members. We're sitting at 15. Michael and Hellbound, they got you more than halfway there. We hit 25. Luna's going to get her treats. I found out Luna likes screenies, which is good because they're healthier. Digital games is the future regardless. I mean, you're not entirely wrong. Sure, in the long-term future, yeah, I guess eventually everything will be all digital, but we're in a place right now where we have no digital rights. Like, we have no consumer rights on the digital side. And this is why I just try to, some people are getting tired. They're like, oh, you're being so negative towards PlayStation. It's like, it's not even that I'm trying to be negative towards PlayStation as much as I'm just trying to warn people where, like, okay, maybe there was a lot of fear-mongering done throughout this generation, and maybe some of it did come to pass, and look at where we are now. But this really is the moment where the rubber hits the road, and it's like, dude, next gen, if Sony's allowed to walk through the gates into next generation with both the PS5 and the PS6 and the PS5, the PS5 and the PS6 and the PS5, I'm emphasizing the PS5 twice because it's a big deal. Like, they're not making PS5 games either, physically. And Steelers 4190, he comes in and he dunks it. He comes in, he drops 10 member gifts on you guys, hitting the goal. Luna, are you hype? Steelers, thank you so much for that, buddy.
Holy shit.
He says do it. He says do it.
Do it! Just do it! Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!
And there we go. Luna is very happy. She's been waiting patiently. Thank you guys so much for hitting the goal. Like I said, if you did get a membership gift, please look forward to the members content that we're going to have coming later this week. All right. I got some gameplay commentary coming your way. It's going to be a fun one. Well, I don't want not fun. It'll be fun. We don't use the word fun here at Naughty Dog when we talk about The Last of Us Part 2. It's going to be interesting because I'm playing a game that I don't know that I'm going to beat it, and I'm probably not going to play. I'm not going to play the entirety of it, but I'm playing a game that means a lot to me, and I just for some reason decided I wanted to go back and try it again. you know? And it brought back a lot of memories. Wait. I'm trying to see what she does. I don't think she likes the greenies as much as I thought she did. Sorry. I've been trying to give her the greenies because they're much healthier, but oh, she looks paranoid. Well, eat up, Luna, because none of the other cats are around. All right. And by the way, we have a direct donation, guys. We have a direct donation from Secretly Rich Rod. Secretly Rich Rod, a $50 direct donation. Why do I get the feeling it's not rich? Let's see. Let's read the message. We'll know based off the message if it's actually rich or not. Please donate 10 more memberships for the cats. Also, I love Xbox now. Oh, that's definitely rich. Rich, what happened, man? What happened? MBG's low-key replaying Crackdown. Yeah, Secretly Rich Rod, thank you so much for the $50 direct donation. That's incredibly generous. And thank you for advocating for the memberships. It worked. Steelers, there you go. He was happy to oblige. And Steelers also drops a super chat for $5. He says, people keep saying all digital is the future. Why? Why does it have to be that way? What makes that progress? What makes that better? I mean, that's the thing, man. I do think if we're thinking like really long-term future, like decades and decades from now, I could kind of, it's almost impossible to think that far ahead because who knows what the world's going to look like at that point, right? But if we're talking like the next 15 to 20 years, I think that's reasonable enough. I mean, still kind of wonder what the world's going to look like 20 years from now. But yeah, I feel like physical formats have persisted for other forms of media, you know, music, movies, TV, books. It is the question you're asking, Steelers, is the one that I can't help but ask as well, just like at a higher level of like, but why? Because here's the thing about digital buyers right now. Digital buyers, what they're experiencing, if physical games stay, if Sony were to come out and say, guys, we are reversing our decision. We're reversing it. We're going to have physical games for the PS6 and possibly beyond. If that were to happen, then the people who are buying their games digitally, literally nothing changes. If anything, it just maintains what is. So if you are somebody who shares your account digitally with a family member or a friend, that's not at risk of going away, or at least the chances of that going away lowers dramatically. Whereas if this does go through, you're probably going to lose that. This ensures that Sony, and at least maybe not Sony themselves, but the publishers who are part of Sony's deals that they do and putting their games on sale, you know, Titus, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. That's very, I appreciate it though, man. Thank you. I do appreciate it. It's one of these things where it's like, I mean, these publishers have to look at the physical side of it, where it's like, okay, this is our game that we're selling physically on store shelves on Amazon. This is how much it's priced. We probably shouldn't go too far away from that price for our digital sale, right? And we do see that. And I'm talking about sales. Like, there's so many instances where you see games, oh, you want to buy this game that came out 2 years ago digitally, it's $70 on the PlayStation Store. You go on Amazon, it's like $30. That's all over the place. I just wish the digital buyers would, I mean, a lot of digital buyers do see that, but I just wish the people who are like kind of pushing against this movement or whatever you want to call it. And that's crazy, Irf, and you're saying GameStop said that they don't care. I can only assume they're putting on a brave face. I don't know how a company called GameStop says that. The only way I can make sense of it is they're putting on a brave face because it absolutely matters. They know how devastating this is to their company, and there's nothing they can do about it. Can somebody tell me why the Domino's UK account is going harder in the paint than like any other company online against Sony right now? Something's going on here. Something's going on here. It's a little strange. Yeah, I mean, GameStop, they've been in a strange place for many, many years. It is just bizarre, though, to witness a game company whose entire business model is literally based around selling new and used video games. Be like, oh, we don't care. It's irrelevant. I guess they have a plan. They have a plan. I will say this, though. I am shocked that GameStop's still around. I don't know how they've managed to survive this long. And, you know, I've learned not to underestimate GameStop, where I thought they were going to be gone like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and they're just still here. I didn't read the entire quote. No, I am going based off the headlines. I saw that, yeah, GameStop wants to buy eBay. I guess that makes sense. I could see why they would want to go after them. I don't think they'll be successful, though. Mikey, you're saying we're definitely not a vocal minority. They will keep downplaying this, as the diehard weird fanboys are definitely getting scared now. We have thankfully achieved so much brand damage. I mean, dude, I was catching strays over the last 24 to 48 hours, man, because of my last stream, and it's like, geez, I get it. I understand that I didn't come out swinging on my last stream the way I have every other stream, but it's like I was just being, I don't know. I guess sometimes I do forget, like, you're being watched, not just by people who are here on your stream enjoying what you're saying and you're just being a normal human being. You're being watched by people who want to use anything you say against you. And that bothered me a little bit because I'm like, dude, am I truly, is there truly something wrong with a person like myself who has spent thousands of dollars on PlayStation and have spent thousands of hours with not just playing games, but also building up memories over the years? Is there really something wrong with a person who does that? Just admitting that, like, yeah, that's something that's difficult to walk away from. I don't think so. I think that's, but you know, I get it. It's because I come out and I'm like, I'm done, Sony. Like, I hate you. I'm gonna light you on fire. I get it. I guess I just feel bad because I know I'm not the only one. Like, this is where I wish, and I know I'm asking too much. I know this is the unrealistic part of me coming out, but it's like, I just genuinely wish that somebody at PlayStation who's in charge of making decisions, who can make an important decision like this or reverse an important decision like this, I wish that they would literally just wake up and be like, dude, it may not be the majority. That's not the point. Those who are here, who have been committed for possibly decades, who have amassed a collection, who have done nothing but support PlayStation and made it their go-to place to play, like, care about this. Like, care. Just a little bit, just enough to not let it go down this way. We have Anthony Capozzo with a generous $20 super chat. Thank you for that, Anthony. He says, Sony is absolutely concerned. They canceled the fight stick. They got bots out here. I got to figure out what's going on with that bot situation. I saw a video, or the thumbnail of a video that Moore's Law is Dead put out about that. I'm going to have to look into that because that's strange. And that would be very depressing if it turns out to be true. But you continue by saying billions lost, failed games and studios, investors want us to subsidize. F that digital fight. Colin can fight that. My homies are physical. Colin can fight that. Well, he is. He's trying. Yeah, I mean, that's what's interesting is I feel like you're seeing a split, right? Where, like, on one side of it, there's people that, and I would consider myself on this side, where it's like, it's too soon to give up the fight. I mean, I question it. I genuinely question it. Like, I do have a level of trepidation where I'm like, can we, like, is a boycott really going to be successful? Can we in the next 3 months actually hurt Sony's bottom line enough? And yeah, it gives me pause because I'm like, that's a tall order. That's a tall order, knowing that the vast majority of, well, not the vast majority, but at least the largest quantity of people playing on PlayStation are not paying attention to this. That's a tall order. But on the other side of that, the other split is like people basically saying this fight is already over. Like, there is no fight to be had here. Sony's made their decision. They're not reversing it. And so the next best thing we can fight for is digital ownership of some kind, And I do think that if Sony came out and said, okay, guys, listen, we're ending physical games, but now we're going to make it so when you buy a digital PlayStation game, you're not just renting a license that we can revoke at any time for any reason at our discretion. It's yours. You own it. You can do what you want with it. I mean, if they could do something like that and there could be some level of protection, I don't think it would make everybody happy. Like, there would still be people like me. It's like, I just wish we could still have physical media, though. It's to me, it is the most viable solution that is right in front of us right now. But I do think if Sony did that, it would win a lot of people over, because at least then people can't say that you're not getting something out of this. It's like, this is the trade-off. We end discs. We give you digital ownership. Okay. Sure. I guess we didn't choose that trade, but if that's the deal we're given, I think a lot of people would take that deal. We're not getting a deal right now. That's the problem. That's the problem, that I just feel like people are. I get it, man. Like, I understand it feels like we're yelling into the void, but it's like, this is going to come to a head at some point. Where, like, the problem is you're being stripped of something that is only good and beneficial for you, the consumer. Whether you partake in it or not, that option being available only benefits you, even if you're digital only. You're being stripped of that, and Sony is not telling you you're getting anything in return. They're telling you you're getting exactly what you're getting now, and that's it. With a realistic, let's just be honest, with the absolute certainty that it's only going to get worse. Yes, we are going to charge you more for games. Yes, we are going to have total and complete control over you in our digital ecosystem where you can't go anywhere else, because there are no other storefronts on PlayStation. We know that you don't have digital, you don't have any digital rights, This is just where I can't believe we're here. I really can't. Like, I genuinely, I know I'm sounding a little bit dramatic, but it's like, I really thought this entire conversation and everything that's happening right now was at least like 5 to 7 to possibly 10 years away, and we're just here now. Sony is doing the speed run. Steelers with another $5 super chat says, again, books have existed and have continued to exist for thousands of years. Why can't games remain physical? There is one side to this that people have brought up that we do need to consider. To me, it is important to consider this, but I still feel like the solution, there can definitely be a solution to it, and Sony can find that solution, even if it means working with a partner, right? Where it's like, we don't want to do everything ourselves. Something that people have brought up is like, when it comes to physical game discs, where can you play those discs? There has to be a vector where you what do you put the disc in? It's a little bit different from like DVDs and Blu-rays and, CDs and stuff like that, because it's like, you can't just buy a PlayStation game disc and use it on any device that reads a Blu-ray. You literally need the machine itself. You need the console itself. So there is that added layer to it that does make it a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more, if not sophisticated, it makes it more proprietary, right? And that's kind of by design because of Sony's closed ecosystem. But this is where it's like, I've maintained the argument, and I will maintain this argument, that like this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is Sony's responsibility. Where it's like, you spent 30 years creating this closed ecosystem. And, you know, it's had its flaws, but it's had its upsides as well. And the people who have supported this closed ecosystem, this has always been a part of the deal, period. A part of the deal has always been you can buy a game case with a disc in it, and that's how you can play your games. That's always been part of the deal. Always. And that is what has helped facilitate Sony's position of strength with this closed ecosystem. I mean, even if Sony is at a point where they're like, we don't want to manufacture this stuff ourselves anymore. We don't want to do it. Like, we don't want to have to be responsible for making the disk drives and it's like, okay, you're Sony, PlayStation, like partner with somebody. I'm certain there's another company that would want to be the middleman. But that's where you begin to realize that Sony just looks at it as a nuisance. They look at it as this is just nothing but more overhead and more cost, and we want nothing to do with it. And I'm like, but you're acting like this is 2% of players. You're acting like this is 1% of players. This is anywhere between 10 and 20% of your overall players. That's, to me, that's the even bigger problem here. It's like, I get it. You don't want to deal with the overhead. You don't want to deal with the cost. It's too much. It's too annoying. Fine. That would be a much easier pill to swallow if it was literally less than 2% of people buying physical discs. It's not 2% of people. Regardless of how much you see people talk about how dominant digital is, yes, it may be dominant now or the more preferred option, but people are making it sound like the majority of this generation, the vast majority of sales with Sony single-player games have been physical. It maybe not majority, but it's been like an even split, very close to an even split. For Sony's own games, dude. It looks so much worse when you stack it up against physical books have been around for thousands of years, but I guess, you know, game discs for PlayStation can only last 30 years. It's like, what are we doing here, man? I don't know. It is frustrating. The more I talk about it out loud, the more frustrated I get. Got to recenter myself. We have Turbo Laws with a $10 super chat. Thank you for that, buddy. He says, respect MBG stance, but Xbox hate helped cause this. PlayStation fans owned the narrative. DRM, power, games, sales. Xbox fixed each, chased goalposts, and never led. Now PlayStation dominates. Kill discs and steps on necks. Steps on necks. It's an interesting angle you present here. Let's talk about that for a minute. Before I do, though, I have a direct donation from Fred Vance. Fred, it's good to hear from you, man. It's been a while. He says, books are consumed by billions. Gaming in comparison is niche. 100 million PS5s and 8 billion people on the planet. It's a drop in the ocean. That's true. I mean, when we look at the bigger picture, it does become a little bit more obvious why. Well, this is why books haven't gone away. Oh, you know what's funny, though? You know what's ironic? Does anybody remember? Also, I don't know if that was really Fred Vance or not. Was that truly Fred Vance? Because as far as I can recall, Fred has never done a direct donation. So somebody's doing something. Michael. They've been creating friction to buying physical discs for years now. They know what they're doing. It's called nudge theory. Nudge theory. Whoa. You make something slightly more uncomfortable to do. Yeah, that's true. Nudge theory. I didn't know there was a name for it. There's a name for everything, I suppose. But I mean, do you guys remember when they tried to convert every book reader into a digital reader? We're done with physical books now. Do you remember that? That didn't last very long. Now, I wasn't too involved in that, but like, I remember that was a thing, and it did not succeed. But But yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, I just wish gaming as a whole, truthfully, like I think the more depressing aspect of this, like if as depressing as it is to see Sony is this as at the center of this right now, which, you know, makes sense, but it kind of goes back to that super chat where it's like, how did we get here? And I feel like, at least with the last super chat I got, where Turbo Man, he says, you know, the Xbox hate helped cause this. And this is just where you're right and wrong. It's kind of like, it's a complicated thing where it's like, should the consumer, this gets into the territory of how much should the consumer be blamed? And this is where things become, you know, depressingly simple, I suppose. You know? The reality of the situation is the consumer cannot be blamed. The people as a collective, the masses, the majority, if they have ultimately spoken with their wallets, then they're not wrong because they're saying we're okay with this. This is what we want. They may not be saying this is what we want. Like if you were to ask them more, you know, more intrusively, like, is this really what you want? It's like, well, actually, I would prefer it to be this way, but you're paying for it. Like, well, yeah. Okay, then. This is a problem that it transcends the games industry. It is a problem, man. And it's like, this is why I was like kind of a little bit depressed in my last stream. And I was talking the way I was because I'm like, how do we fight any of this anymore? I hate to sound defeatist and it's not fun, but it's like when we look around, it's like we all might be many days late and many dollars short by this point. And it's not all of our faults. You know, where it's like a lot of people have been doing the right thing, you know, being a better consumer, so to speak. Maybe that's true. But it's like, what does that mean in a world where on Sony PlayStation, the Black Ops 1 and 2 ports, bare bones ports, no upgrades whatsoever, just crapped it out. 5G is hacking our brains. What good does it do in a world where they just recorded like 7 million plus players in the US alone? How do you fight that? And that's a genuine question. How do you fight that? And the argument is it's like, yeah, you fight it by closing your wallets. You can close your wallet. I can close my wallet. What about the 7 million people who didn't? And then you zoom out and you realize, like, it's like, what's wrong with you people? You're all okay with this? And they're just, it's like, you know, you ever see the meme where it's like the group of stick figures all huddled around being excited about something. And there's like the one stick figure like screaming over. They're like, hey, stop that. And they're like, cool, bro. Anyway, I hate that that's what it is, but I think this is why people are latching on so aggressively. You're saying Call of Duty is its own thing. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, perhaps. We have to see. It could be an isolated situation. But I think time and time again, we kind of see this play out in such a way, you know? Yeah, I think Microsoft, they were the ones who priced it. They knew what they were doing. They're like, oh, it's $40 for each game. And it's like, $40? Oh, wait, but if you're subscribed to PlayStation Plus, it's only $20. So you can get a twofer, you know? I mean, I have to admit, from Microsoft's point of view, trying to get sales, that's kind of genius. Like, ooh, that's the nostalgia bait right there. So maybe it's not the best example to use, but it's just, it is cause for concern. Or at the very least, it makes us focus in more so on when we ask the question, how did we get here? There are certain patterns. And I think we're all I want to speak for all of us, but I think most of us are guilty at certain times. Nobody, we can't all be perfect. You can't boycott everything. I've learned that. You can't do that because it's like, well, you're going to look around you. You're going to find out nobody's innocent. You're going to have to get rid of all your stuff. It's not, the only one who's living a truly ethical life is the dude in the monastery meditating. Perhaps, if you're a consumer, you're probably contributing to something that's not too great in the grand scheme of things. Hence the complicated nature of all of this. But I digress here. I have a super chat from Makwi Ninja. Oh, hold on, really quick though, Makwi Ninja, put a pin in that for 1 second. Before I move on, I do just also want to say, in response to the Turbo super chat, I do just want to say that it didn't help the situation that the competition between PlayStation and Xbox did die. For now. Maybe it'll rise up again at some point, but yeah, it's like once it was clear that Xbox is toast and they're not catching PlayStation, it's kind of over. The way it once was with the original Xbox taking on the PS2, the 360 taking on the PS3, and, well, the attempt of the Xbox One to take on the PS4. Once that happened, and it started to kind of become clear throughout the last couple of years that, competition is gone, and that's what's scary, man, is I remember people super chatting me 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. They're like, how concerned should we be about Sony not having competition anymore? And I'm like, well, we got to be worried, but come on. This is where, like, I should have known better, and I guess I still find it a little bit surprising. It's like, come on, Sony already went down this road. They're not going to do this to themselves again. Like, how dumb would they have to be to shoot themselves in the foot again? And they're just like, here they are. And I'm like, okay, my answer to that question should have been, we should be very worried. But is it our fault that Xbox failed to compete? Because at that point, if we're saying, well, this is because of the Xbox hate. Oh, why did they get the hate? They weren't competing in the way that people wanted them to. They weren't able to win people over. And again, it's like, at that point, we'd have to blame the consumer, and it's like the consumer spoke. So there's definitely, I would say, a writing on the wall here that comes more and more into focus, which is, this is what when I say we, I don't literally mean all of us. Like, if you're the person that's like, I didn't do that, I'm not saying you. I just, this is what the consumers chose. This is ultimately what the consumer market chose. Are there more hours left in? I'm not sure what that question is asking. But Makwi Ninja, you're saying with a $5 super chat, PlayStation 6 won't even be able to play Blu-ray movies. It's just a massive feature loss. Yeah, I mean, I haven't even thought about it from that angle, but we have talked about this a little bit, and it's like, what is Sony planning on doing about backwards compatibility? Are you saying it means have fun? What is Sony planning on doing about backwards compatibility? Because this might be the most egregious part. Like, okay, let's say you're the PlayStation player who accepts this. And let's face it, there are a lot of people who are like, okay, yeah, we're moving into digital. They're probably being kind of quiet right now, but that's definitely a thing. But maybe you are that PlayStation player who has a pretty decent catalog of physical PS5 and PS4 games. And you go and you read that blog post, Sony didn't say anything about what they're going to do there. Now, granted, it could be because they're waiting to talk about it and go over it, with the PS6 reveal. But let me ask you this question. What are the chances Sony is going to do nothing? Mikey, you think Sony's going to do nothing? They're planning to make the whales buy them again. Dude, oh my God. Could you imagine if it was that bad? Even if they dress it up as a remake or a remaster. I mean, that is a possibility. At this point, nothing would shock me. That would be infuriating. But what are the chances Sony's going to come out and be like, we have a disk drive to sell you? I mean, are they going to, like, is Sony going to tell PS5 Pro buyers who are interested in upgrading to the PS6, you are not going to be able to detach your disk drive from not just PS5 Pro, but PS5 Slim. You're not going to be able to take that disk drive and put it on the PS6. Tom Henderson, but that's the thing. Tom Henderson reported that there was going to be a disk drive for the PS6. And he assumed, based off of what he was told, that that's going to be for disc-based PS6 games. Now we find out there are going to be no disc-based PS6 games. So if that report still holds up and is true, then that means, at that point, that means that, yeah, this is how you're going to play your PS5 and PS4 discs on the PS6. But that's where it's like, so, like, are you going to be able to take your current disk drive and put it on the PS6 for backwards compatibility? Is Sony going to make people rebuy a disk drive again to attach for those discs? Are they going to copy what Microsoft is apparently getting ready to do, which is a disc to digital program? Is Sony even competent enough to do something like that? We have Dragger IC56 with a $2 direct donation. Says, everyone knows you would always stay on PlayStation and buy Wolverine and GTA 6. Just say to move on from this preaching that you'd never stick with. It gets old. It's not about, at this point, listen, I've come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter what I do. You understand that? Like, at this point, what I say matters more than what I actually do. And that's the fact of the matter. I'm going to get torn to shreds by people no matter what. I've learned, if there's something I've learned in the past couple of weeks, is no matter what I do, I'm getting torn to shreds. So I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. I no longer care about that. I've wasted too much time and energy caring about what other people think or what they have to say about me. And I've allowed it to, fester longer than it should have. Here's what matters. I'm pushing back against this. I have a platform. I have influence. I have a voice. I don't know how much power I have. I'll be honest. I think my power limit is minimal, but I'm pushing back against it. And that's not because it's like, do as I say, not as I do. Sure, it comes off that way, but it's because that's not the point here. Do you know how many people I've encountered? They're like, yeah, I'm buying all my games physical for the remainder of the PS5 gen. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Look at them and be like, what are you, an idiot? What are you, a moron? Why would you do that? Why didn't you destroy your PlayStation? Why didn't you trade it in and sell it? Like, I'm not going to do that to people, man. I get it. Like, trust me, if there's anybody who gets it, I get it. But this, to me, in all honesty, this is about the future of PlayStation, where it's like, like I said, people are going to play their games. They're going to do what they're going to do. And maybe the ultimate conclusion here is exactly that. Sony looks at that and they're like, we know. So we're just going to keep doing what we do. But this is where, if you ask me, and this is where my history in covering this is where I can tell you with a level of certainty that not many people can. I was here on the ground level. I mean, here, bro. Like, I was in it. I was in that shit. Let me tell you, I was in the shit. When we were going from the PlayStation 4, from the Xbox One and PS4 to the PS5 and Xbox Series. And when I tell you there was more excitement and interest by miles for the Xbox Series X than there is for the PS6. This is what I'm saying. This is what matters. Because here's the thing. Maybe I am going to lose in the end, and you're going to lose, and everybody's going to lose. And what does that look like? That looks like, there it is. Now it's digital only. At that point, yes, everybody's going to have to make the decision. Where are you building your digital library? Are you going to go to Steam on PC? A lot of people want that. A lot of people prefer that. A lot of people are there right now. You still don't own the games, but people see certain positive aspects of Steam that don't exist on Xbox, don't exist on PlayStation. Are you going to stay on PlayStation? A lot of people are going to shrug and say, well, anywhere I go is going to be digital anyway, so I may as well just stay here. Some people might even get crazy and be like, I'm going to Nintendo. Watch Nintendo come out after the Switch 2, a regular console with discs. Imagine that. Imagine that. The point I'm trying to get at here is that if everybody loses collectively, okay, it's just it's like a, it depends on who you ask. People think that's going to happen. If this is what ends up being the result, from that point forward, the battle is taking place somewhere else entirely. That battle has, like, the physical games battle is over. It's lost. The next battle is breaking Sony's shit open and letting lawmakers manhandle them, letting the lawsuits flow to force Sony into a position where it's like we have to comply now. We have to be legally compliant to where here's a level of ownership we have to now give you because we're digital only. And that's all that's going to matter from that point forward. Again, it's not going to stop people from buying and playing games. It's not going to. I'm just trying to see a long-term, bigger picture here where it's like, this isn't about, I'm just going to give a suggestion to people. Don't worry about what I do. You can worry if you want. You can put me at the center of your conversation if you want. I'm flattered. I don't know why I would matter that much. But we are now on the precipice of seeing one of the biggest turnovers that is going to happen in all, in all of gaming's history, not just with the PS6, but what if the PS6 fails? What if the PS6 fails? What if Project Helix fails? What then? Is it just going to be Steam then? Well, surely PlayStation's not going away. Surely Xbox isn't going away. Now it's just the storefronts. Okay, which ones are closed? Which ones are open? Like, doesn't anybody find it kind of funny in a sense? Where, like, doesn't Sony realize, like, did you not see what happened to Apple? Apple got their shit broke open. That's exactly what happened. Apple, bro. And Epic went after them. Sony, like, is Sony truly deluded enough to think that that's not going to happen to us? And that's because, a console ecosystem has always been based around being a closed ecosystem. Yeah, but, like, how far are you going to take that until it becomes apparent to everybody and their mother and their grandmother and their aunts and uncles that, dude, you're just ripping people off blatantly? At least you hit it well before, or at least it kind of like you had other competitors around you that were also ripping people off. It's like, who's going to rip somebody off the least? But now you're in a position of dominance, and Sony is hurling towards this future of, and I'll be honest, I think we're going to win either way. I'll be totally fucking real. I feel like I've seen the future, bro. Why do I got to word it like that? Why do I got to say it like that? Everybody's taking me seriously for just a second there, and then I word it like that, and they're like, okay. But in all seriousness, I feel like I've seen the future. And the future, to me, it's like, fine. If this is how it's going to go, I think we're going to win either way, because this isn't about ever letting off the gas until things are made right. I just, it's unreasonable. And it's been proven throughout multiple industries and the games industry that People are not just going to stop what they're doing. It's very, very, very rare that enough people come together collectively to just stop and freeze everything. It's awesome when it happens, but you never really hear about it because it hardly ever happens. But the way these things work is it's chip damage. It is like an RPG, you know? It's like you just slowly keep leveling your character up. In this case, the character are people's awareness. People slowly coming into awareness of like, Jesus, this is getting worse. This should be a little bit better, maybe a lot better. And you're slowly doing chip damage over time, and then that chip damage eventually turns into a critical hit. And I'm telling you, the PS6 is going to be a critical hit. That's the critical hit moment where let it fester the way it's festering now. Let Sony continue to be shitty like this because it's gonna come back around. And it's fucking mind-boggling to me that the people. The only thing I can assume is that the people who are running this company right now, the people who are making these decisions, are planning to retire before it comes back around. The next guy can deal with it. We're getting our golden parachutes. We're satisfying our investors, and we're the fuck out of here. The next guy can deal with it. And that's a dangerous game. That's a dangerous game to play. And unfortunately, too many executives play it that way. You know, that's the reality of the corporate world to an extent. But I think in the end, we are going to win. Even if we don't win physical games, which I deeply, deeply, deeply want to win this battle. Even if we don't, then we move on to the next battle. The next battle is we're fighting for digital ownership. We're fighting for digital rights. And if that means, we have to prop up certain players in the industry that are doing it better than others, then that's what we do. Again, it's about the message we send. And I'm just trying to be a little bit more responsible with my platform. And I learned this in my last stream that I got to be careful. You know, the eyes are always on me, man. And it's not fake. It's not, there are times I get real with you and, I'm just a person. I'm just shooting the shit. But, there's times like this too, where something's just not right. There is the elephant in the room. It can't be ignored. And so my hope, genuinely speaking, my hope is that regardless of the short-term outcome that we are potentially going to witness, well, I mean, I say potentially, time will move forward. We're going to witness the outcome in the coming months. Regardless of what happens, I don't think people should get discouraged or people shouldn't get too wrapped up in this idea of, and I made this mistake. I'll be completely honest here. Okay. I'll own this. I kept saying, you can see my fucking hands trembling from my neck. I was said to you guys numerous times, the line has been drawn. You're either in or you're out. And that was very emotionally driven, as you know. And I think a lot of people still feel that way. Because people are pissed, man. People are tired. And that is the reality. People are fucking tired. And all the people who are like, everything's fine, everything's great. It's like, it just adds insult to injury where it's like, no, you should feel some level of this too. No matter how much fun you're having. Because it's all around us. And I realize now that like the whole you're either in or you're out thing, it's not going to go down that way. We are too collectively as an industry, but also beyond the games industry, we are far beyond that. And so now it's more like guerrilla warfare. I know that sounds funny, but I've really been evaluating this and I'm like, something's different. Every day it's like, who are you sending the chip damage to? And every now and again you see the critical hit. Every now and again you see and I realize that's where we are. That's where we've been for a while, and it is guerrilla warfare. Where you're gonna use these guerrilla warfare tactics. You're gonna come out of the fucking bushes spontaneously. You're gonna take your shot, and maybe you win. Maybe you hit the critical mark. A lot of times you're gonna miss, and it's just gonna move on. And you go back. You have to retreat, regroup, devise another plan. I'm making it sound very dramatic. I'm literally making it sound like warfare. But I just realized like that's where we are now. And it really has come down to you have to pick and choose your battles. My hope, my real sincere hope Because I know people are like, bro, why'd you change your tone so much? And it's because, dude, I was 100% like, we need to burn Sony down right now, bro. Like, I was in Johnny Silverhand mode because it's like the window's closing. This is our guerrilla warfare. We are jumping out of the bushes and we are on the fucking attack. And we're either going to win now or we're going to have to back up and it's going to be a much longer battle. We either end the war now, or through this singular battle, or we have to back it up and it's going to take more time. It's going to be multiple battles on multiple fronts. And I know I'm making it sound, again, very dramatic with the war talk, maybe kind of inappropriate considering the state of the world right now. But, it's just that I'm still hopeful. I am. I'm still hopeful that Sony will turn this around. I do think the things that people are doing right now matter. And I think that if you're somebody, I don't shit on games that don't deserve it. Don't bully devs or anything. They don't deserve this. It's not their fault. But if you're keeping the pressure up on Sony, on their socials, you're doing everything you can, keep at it. I can't promise you it's going to immediately turn things around, but, that energy, even if it's like, it didn't work, that energy is still going to be useful for the next battle and the next battle and the next battle until eventually, maybe one day, we get to that point where it's like things are as they should be. And it is good. But it will take, I do believe it's going to take some time at this point. All right. The hell was I even talking about? I got a couple of chats here. Steelers, you're saying in response to gaming being niche to books, top selling book of 2025 sold less than 3 million units. Damn, really? That is fascinating. That's something I would have never known, if that's true. I'm not going to fact check you on it right now, but that's fascinating to me. Yeah, Mikey, you're not wrong. Vote with your wallets for maximum impact and damage. Yeah. I mean, it's just you have to. People need to be mindful of like the reason why I was like wording it like the tactics I think have to change is because I know it sounds antithetical, but it's like I don't know that not buying stuff like it definitely is an option that everybody should consider. Because it's the most simple. It's the most basic. It's like, what language do you speak, Sony? You speak the language of money. Okay. And that's it. Either give or don't. Can't be any simpler than that. But that's where when you evaluate, like, so are you giving us your money? No. Well, don't worry. We got millions of others who will. So bye. You have to realize, there's a different way we got to hit them then. And that's why I'm saying what Moore's Law is Dead was pointing out is worthwhile. Because it's like, are these developers looking at Sony socials and be like, bro, what the fuck? Like, this is hurting our game. This is hurting my indie game. Is it causing friction? Where it's like, sure, Sony may be able to turn to you and be like, we don't care, bye. But they also have to turn to their responsibilities and their obligations and be like, God damn, look at what they're doing over here. When's this shit gonna stop? I don't know, Sony, maybe if you stop turning to people and saying, bye, we don't care, maybe it'll stop. And everybody can be happy. Everybody can win here. All right, we have, it's definitely not Fred Vance. This is not Fred Vance. Stop using Fred Vance's name, bro. Wait, now I'm wondering where the real Fred Vance is. It says, books sell 2.2 billion copies a year. Video games, 500 to 600 million. Do you realize how many options of books there is out there? How dumb is this chat? Hey, don't talk shit about my chat. See, this is how I know it ain't Fred. Fred would never talk like that. Don't shit talk my chat. All right? I don't appreciate that. Anthony Capozzo with the $2 chat says, thank you for fighting, John. Please never give up. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I'm going to have my moments where I'm literally exhausted. It's like, it's been a long week. It's a long life. And my vigor might not be, like there are times I'm just gonna have to rest at the bonfire. you know, the Dark Souls analogy. But hopefully, I won't lie to you guys too. Like I saw a couple people ask like, I'm feeling a little bit better today, as you could tell. I'm in a lot less pain. I still have pain all down my arm, but it's much more tolerable. I feel like right now in this moment, I feel the closest back to being to my normal self as I have in a long time, just with, you know, some extra pain that I might need to take some ibuprofen for. But yeah, it's like my hope is to, I'm hoping to take better care of my own self. So that way the results that I produce here on the channel will be better and more consistent, because these past couple months have been very rough. And I've been all over the place these past couple months. And I very much thank you guys for hanging in there with me and tolerating it and being understanding. But I'm very much now at this point where it's like, you know, I'm still going to have to live with some pain, but I feel like between the therapy, the PT, and, you know, I'm going to be trying to clean up my diet a little bit, getting onto some better routines, all that good stuff. It should produce better results here. But Anthony, thank you for your super chat. We also have that Ride or Die Jedi guy with a $20 super chat. Thank you for that, Jedi guy. He says, yo, M, mic check. Please look at my post to chat. Super chat won't let me say it with like 100 eye emojis. Let me see. Hold on. I gotta find your... Just give me a moment here. Yeah, appreciate all the super chats, guys. If you want to continue to contribute to the member goal, feel free to do that. We hit 25 today. We'll see if we can push for more. If you're up for it, we will have member content coming this week. But also, thank you guys for the super chats and the direct donations. Very, very much appreciate it. All right, let me see, Jedi guy. Let me see here. And I haven't been able to heart all of the super chats. Hold on. I always want to make sure to do that. Okay. Jedi guy. Let's see. Saying here. You, sir, have absolutely no idea the amount of hardship and real world implications that someone like this has to go through every day, as well as their families. Respectfully back off. Brother, you need to understand that there are a lot of other streamers out there at your level or even bigger that I've spoken with that are fully prepared to circle the wagons and stand with you. I'm glad to know that. Ride or Die Jedi guy. It's great to hear, man. And I appreciate that. It's a tough thing because, again, it's like, I think what puts people in the most uncomfortable position, and it's not just me, I think, as you can see, based off of the insanely volatile reaction, it's millions of people, potentially. Millions. Where it's like, people don't feel... I think people have not felt right for a while. There's always been, like, some level of discomfort. It's like you said, like the nudge theory, right? I feel like that's been happening for years and years. And, you know, people can tolerate a lot. Especially when we're talking about just, like, basic consumerism, where it's like, I just want to enjoy something. I just want to enjoy games. And I just think where you start to see how nefarious a lot of this can be, truly, and especially with this PlayStation thing, is like the attempt to weaponize the thing that people love. You know, and right now the situation with Wolverine is, like, to me, the epitome of that. Where we got that new Wolverine trailer, and it's like, if you ask me, IBG, what's your opinion of that new Wolverine trailer? I think it looks fucking incredible. Like, to me, I always, when Insomniac first announced Wolverine, I'm like, this is a dream game. Insomniac making Wolverine's like one of my favorite superheroes ever, one of my favorite characters ever. Holy shit. You're talking about somebody who's played, you know, the X-Men Origins Wolverine game. You're talking about somebody who played X2 Wolverine's Revenge on the PS2, you know, and I'm just saying, like, I have a deep history with not just playing X-Men games or Wolverine games, but also him as a character. I see Insomniac and I'm like, this is it, man. I don't know that it gets better than this for me. And I'm watching that trailer. I'm like, oh my God, it looks incredible. But yet, we all know, and I know, there's this big asterisk now next to not just Wolverine, but everything. And I'm like, God damn you, Sony. And that ride or die Jedi guy, he comes in, he drops 10 member gifts for you guys. He says we are keeping the member train rolling today. Jedi guy, thank you so much for that. Let me, that's my favorite one. I'm not going to lie. That's my favorite one. He says, all aboard the member train. Thank you so much for that, Ride or Die Jedi guy. That brings us to 35 members on the day. So we'll see. We'll see. We are now within reach of possibly hitting 50 on the day. We will see if we can achieve that. Jedi guy is helping you out. And once again, I'm going to try to remind everybody every opportunity I get. It's going to be very important for me to do this because I haven't done members content in a little while. We've been on a hiatus with that. Members content is returning this week. The first piece of members content will be some gameplay commentary. I've never done gameplay commentary on my channel before. Pre-recorded, of course. Please look forward to that. Okay, and we'll be doing a members lounge as well later this week. So anybody who is a channel member, if you are a member from a gifted, if you tune into that members content, if you find that you enjoy it, consider renewing your membership and paying for it. It would help me out tremendously. Thank you guys for all of your support. But that's the thing about Wolverine, man. I feel like the comment section of that YouTube video on PlayStation's channel of Wolverine in an alternate timeline, it's filled with people being like, holy shit, I can't wait. This looks incredible. And you know, the joke that people are making is the picture that Logan's trying to save in the trailer. And Pushing Polygons comes in. We got Pushing Polygons. He's like, you know what? I'm going to drop another 10. Another 10 members gifted from Pushing Polygons. Holy shit, indeed. He takes us to 45 Polygons. Bro, thank you so much for that, man. Really, thank you. Thank you guys so much. I mean, Irfin's mad because he's like, I can't get a damn membership. The tenor, Pushing Polygons, he comes out screaming at Sony. I know he feels the pain, man. So just like that, we are 5 away. We're 5 away from hitting 50. Thank you guys so much. Really. It's very, very appreciated. Can't do what I do here without your support. And while you're at it, we're on a roll. Make sure you hit that like button. We're at 157 likes, so you guys are crushing it today. We'll see if we can get that to 175. And, yeah, I just feel like in an alternate timeline, we would be reading the comments on that video, and it would be people expressing their excitement. And, you know, it gives me, like, some hope. Just a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Like, if you go check, I think there's over 10,000. I'll go check myself here, actually. I do have YouTube up still. Wolverine trailer. So if I check the Wolverine trailer, it's almost at 1 million views. It's at like 950K. It's got 11,700 comments. And tell me if you can identify the pattern here. Okay, I'm going to read the comments from the most liked going down. With 15,000 likes, somebody says, "You know who isn't the hero? The killer of physical." Somebody else says with 8,600 likes, "The disc is going to look awesome." Somebody else says with 10,000 likes, "Can't wait for my disc copy to come in." Somebody else says Wolverine was really getting physical in this trailer. He has such a distinct presence. Oh my God, what are these people doing? They're making jokes up in here, bro. They're making jokes up in here. And Pushing Polygons and that Ride or Die Jedi guy, they both tried to do it at the same time. The disc content. They both drop 5 member gifts each, getting us beyond 55. They take you, or sorry, beyond 50 to 55. I said beyond 55. 55. Thank you guys so much. Really. Very, very generous. We have people coming out, dropping big support today for the community, and I love to see that. Thank you. I'm going to add that. So now that we're going back to members content, like I said, the most we'll push for on any single given stream is 100 members. 100 is the cap. We don't ever have to hit that every day. It's not expected to hit that every day. But that's the high-end goal. I'm looking to rebuild the memberships a little bit here because, like I said, I've been feeling bad over the past couple of months because I haven't been able to deliver on much members content. My goal is gameplay commentaries, bringing back the members lounge, and once probably around September, early September, which is still summer, we're going to bring back Morning with the Misses as well. And I really want to get on a solid routine once again like we did before, where that's weekly members content being distributed. Okay? Yeah, yeah, I am going to have to. You're right. Yo, it's Buzz. You're right. I'm going to have to change the name, I think, of my membership tiers because it's just not applicable anymore. You're right. What greatness awaits, payment awaits. Payment awaits. I don't want to reflect negatively on me. Payment awaits. Play does have limits. I'm literally just going to rename it. Play does have limits. Play has limits. Pay has no limits. I mean, this is what people are saying. Sony, how could you do this to your reputation, bro? Like, they were already damaging their reputation throughout multiple bad decisions this generation, and they're just like, what if we just like completely torched it now? That'll help the PS6, right? It's like my new membership tier, Sony sucks. Sony sucks ultra mega. All right, sorry, I'm getting a little silly now. Oh, I did miss, hold on, I'm sorry. I missed a couple of super chats. I apologize. I got a little bit caught up. Sparky Nuts, the Sparky Nuts drops a $5 chat and he says, how can you say what you do doesn't matter? Literally nothing is more important in this moment than practicing what you preach. If you buy a PS6, I'm done. And that's fine. Like, I don't know. Listen, I don't know the future, man. I'm just trying to be as genuinely real with you as I can on a human level, where it's like, it is easy for me to say something. I already said something. I already said many things. It's too easy to say things, right? And I realize, like, that's not, I want people to do what they believe is right for them. Okay? Like, as much as I want to encourage you, hey, man, to the millions of gamers out there, let's all, hey, if it was up, I want to make it clear, if it was up to me, you know what I would do? If I had this level of power and control, which I wish I did, I'm sure everybody does, I would say, you know what, Sony, we're cutting you off. I'm going to take 15 million, no, 25 million PlayStation players, and their PS5s are turned off, unplugged, and their wallets are closed for the next 30 days. Then you'll get the message. If I had the power to do that, I would. And I wish I could. Because that's what that feels like. That's the only thing. And you saw how crazy I got. I'm like, let's get this fucking train rolling, dude. And we did. To be fair, like, anybody who looks at the past 3 weeks, you can't deny, like, everybody has tried. We all tried. This is why I'm saying, like, this is crazy to see from Sony. Any other company would have looked at this shit and be like, oh, fuck. Not Sony. Sony looks at this and they're like, pathetic. You know, it's like, that's why I'm like, oh, this is going to be a different type of battle with Sony. Let me tell you something. I had a conversation with my friend a little while, it was somewhat recent, maybe like the last year. And I remember telling him, like, I think with the conversation I had with him, I was like, dude, it's so weird to me that Microsoft is reaching out to me. You know? to try to like give me review codes and stuff. I'm like, do they not realize like what my channel is? And he's like, oh no, they know. Trust me, you probably cost them millions of dollars. And I'm like, no. I'm like, come on, man. I'm just some random YouTube. I'm like one small guy on YouTube. He's like, no, dude, trust me. Go back and look at some of your content when it was going from the Xbox One to the Series and the PS4 to the PS5, and look at the first couple years of that transition. He's like, you cost them millions of dollars. You like, he wasn't blaming me entirely. He wasn't like, you're the reason why Xbox died, MBG. But he was letting me, he's like, trust me. And this is a guy, my friend, he works in a corporate place. You know, he knows how this shit works. And he was letting me, I was like, trust me, like this shit does do more damage than you would think at certain times. And that's where I I was just thinking about that the other day, where I'm like, that's what this is about, man. You know, it's like I'm saying, it's the chip damage. It's like, it's about keeping the flame lit and keeping it fed, where I want it to basically drop a nuke. I don't know why it's got to be so violent. You know, I take that back. God, that was the worst fucking analogy I could have used. An American talking about a Japanese company and talking about a nuke. I apologize. Whoa, you know what? Hold on. Let me walk this back. Let me reword. Let me sort this out. Let me sort it out. I just wanted to get in and get out. Quick, clean, minimal damage. You guys, who knows the movie? It's based off a book, Cormac McCarthy book, but who knows the movie No Country for Old Men? You know that scene when Shigerin, I think that's his name, like the psycho killer guy, the bounty hunter, when he just goes into a corporate building, he goes to the top floor and he just walks into a business meeting, into the executive's office, pulls out his silent shotgun and just blows the dude away. I'm not saying, like, I'm using an analogy. No violence. No real violence. I'm against violence. But using that as an analogy on the internet, that's what we collectively on the internet wanted to do to Sony. Where it's like, it's over before it even starts. You tried, you failed, you walked it back, you got put in your place, it's over. It just spit everywhere. MBG, drop the analogy, dude. I'm just saying, I had hoped that it would be and it's over. Sony tried to get away with something. They tried to pull a fast one. They found out within days that ain't happening. But that's not how it's played. That's not how it's played out. Anyway, all right. I gotta relax. All right. I gotta relax. What a great movie. Masterpiece. Great book too. No violence. I want to make that explicitly clear. All right. See, you could tell Rich Rod has possessed me a little bit. You know? Now, I don't know to be honest, I don't believe I cost Microsoft millions of dollars. I don't believe that. I think I think my friend was being a little bit too kind to me. But it did just make me think to myself, like, I guess over the years, I never really thought too deeply about, like, well, you have had some level of influence, and I would have no way of knowing how many people did I influence to walk away from Xbox, spend less time on Xbox, consider PlayStation instead. I have no idea, but I have to imagine it's, oh, there you go, boss. There you go. Oh, you are eating them. Oh, I didn't know boss eats the greenies too. That's cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't even know Boss was here. We have PS Contraband with a $2 super chat or a $2 direct donation. He says, well, hold on. Oh, you know what? The Sparky Nuts. I didn't really answer your super chat effectively enough. I got a little bit distracted. You know, nothing unusual there. But look, the reason why I'm saying what I do doesn't matter is because I'm not going to be the one, whether I don't give Sony another penny or whether I decide to buy everything they release. What I personally do isn't going to matter. What I present is what's going to matter most. Now, granted, I can add to it. I can contribute, right? If I believe in what I'm saying, I can absolutely contribute with my own personal, here's what I'm doing, right? And that can help. Absolutely. But what I've just come to realize that this is why I feel like there's got to be a different way to hit Sony, because the way in which a lot of people are trying to hit them, it's not that it can't be effective at all or it doesn't matter at all, but it's not enough is what I'm trying to say. There's got to be a something else. There's got to be another angle of attack. And this is where I have found myself so fascinated by this notion that developers are getting frustrated with Sony, where I'm like, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, GTA is going to do great. Most of these games are going to do great. I think most of these developers and publishers know that people are going to buy the games if they want to buy the games, you know? But at what point do developers start to look at Sony and they're like, your marketing is ass, bro, and we want nothing to do with it? And how much does that affect Sony? What type of impact does the marketing side of things start to impact Sony when, guess what? All that's going to matter for the PlayStation 6, marketing, PR. It's just something that's worth thinking about, you know? But the thing I was trying to highlight, and this is another thing I wanted to mention, you Sparky Nuts, is when I'm looking at this Wolverine trailer, what gives me a little bit of hope here, although I don't know exactly how much hope it's giving me in total, because, I mean, it is just one YouTube video. It's one channel with about 11,700 comments. I noticed with the Wolverine trailer, people are not saying they're not buying Wolverine. There's I see almost no comments. Can't wait for my disc copy to come. Wolverine sure does seem to love his physical media in this trailer. Wolverine's treasured photograph shows the significance of physical media. Wolverine's out here fighting for his physical media. Can't wait for my physical copy. I will buy this physically. This game will fit perfectly with my physical collection. Can't wait to own this game physically and keep my disc. I'm glad I can buy this physically. Like, I will say, this Wolverine trailer is the first time I've noticed and this is why I'm saying the battle is clearly going to have to be fought differently here. And this is where I genuinely feel. It sounds like they were written by bots, but dude, that's... what I find fascinating about this in particular is, for the first time since this whole thing has happened, I'm beginning to realize, like, this is seemingly where the wall, not the wall, what's the best way to describe this? It's where the battle is entering a different phase. Where now I think people are realizing, okay, Sony's not responding. They're not responding to the backlash, to the anger, to the vitriol, to the, you know, all the, you know, the PS Plus cancellations, at least not yet. They're not responding to that. And I've talked about this. I'm like, and I know how some people are going to take this because they're like, oh, this is just your way of trying to support Sony. It's not about that, but it literally is like, what will Sony tell their investors? Because it's very clear people are buying Wolverine. That's the for as negative as those comments are, it's all people saying, oh, I'm buying this physically. What is Sony going to tell their investors when the question absolutely comes up on their next earnings? And it's like, yeah, Sony, what's going on with this physical stuff? Because it seems like everybody kind of hates you. And it seems like you've done a lot of damage to your brand. What's Sony going to do when they go to celebrate Wolverine sales? And it will leak. I assure you, like, if Sony doesn't admit it, the percentage, the ratio of physical to digital will leak. And what are they going to do when it becomes clear that the majority of people in this case did speak with their wallets? Their investors meeting is going to be, I believe, October 6th. I'm fascinated in seeing the outcome of this, because it's like, okay, if people are not going to be able to send an effective enough message by just not sending Sony money, then the next best thing is, how are you sending their money? How are you sending your money to them? What message are you delivering? If Wolverine, their own big tentpole game that they're absolutely banking to sell millions, because it's obviously a very expensive game, and they have licensing agreements with Marvel and Disney. What do they do when the message is sent by the player base that, sir, the majority of sales for Wolverine in the millions are physical? Like, it's a real question. Like, does Sony look at that? Would they be dumb enough, and they probably would be, to say that doesn't matter? That's not actually real. That's just people being angry. I guess I'm just saying, like, is it possible that is it possible that Sony is waiting and watching? That's the question I'm asking at this point. They're obviously watching, but I mean, is it possible Sony is waiting to see if people's spending behaviors change? Because yes, obviously the biggest, most deleterious and consequential change you could expect to see is people not spending money on you. But if we are to assume that this holiday season and even beyond GTA going into February, March, April of next year, GTA being the only outlier because it's not actually getting a physical release, is it possible Sony could be monitoring to see if there's going to be some kind of significant shift where it's like, sir, over the last 6 months, we saw the physical to digital ratio go from 90% digital, 10% physical, to now 30% physical, 35% physical, and 65% digital or whatever. Like, is that enough to make Sony say, maybe we shouldn't do this? Maybe we should announce we're going to actually support physical discs for the PS6. I'm just considering this because the reaction I'm seeing on the Wolverine channel is interesting to me. It tells me that people are not going to give up. The weaponization will be effective, is what I'm trying to say. Wait, GameStar's like, I might not even be around. You talking about gaming? I hope you're talking about gaming. The weaponization of the game, that being Wolverine, I think it is going to be effective in that it's clear just based off of those comments. People are buying this game. This, like, Wolverine is not going to suffer financially, sales-wise, because of Sony's announcement. But it does seem like people are maybe on board with this idea of, like, if you're going to buy the game, buy it physically. That's what I was encouraging the past couple of weeks. Was like, if you're going to buy any of these games, buy them physically, not digitally. Is it artificially altering the market? I don't think so. Because if this were to persist, like I said, for not just 1 month, not just 2 months, but all the way up to like June of next year, May of next year, almost an entire year of we're watching to see if the consumer behavior changes. If this happens, maybe, just maybe, it could be enough to sway Sony's decision and, like, we shouldn't kill physical games, actually. people have woken up. It's not just a one-off thing. It's not just Wolverine whose physical sales have increased. It's every game. Every game. That's why when we were looking at those percentages, and I tried to emphasize this so much, and it was so important to go over it, and we can't forget it. It was so important to emphasize that, like, listen, this 90-10 percentage we're being given is skewed. It's not accurate. When we're talking about digital being 90%, you're accounting for every microtransaction, every piece of DLC, all the digital games that don't actually get physical releases. It's not accurate. Yeah, Mortal Shell 2, physical pre-orders. You're already seeing it. I think this is having a rebound effect. Like, it's getting me a little bit excited. I'm not going to lie, where I'm like, oh shit, is the rising up happening in a different way? Where it's like, it turns out the rising up isn't going to be people cutting off their funds for Sony, because not enough people are going to do that. Is the rising up, people are buying physical. And Sony's they're going to, by the time we get to the PS6, Sony's going to look like jackasses for not doing physical. I don't know. It's a very fascinating, it is an alternative way, I suppose, to get the message across, where it's like, it is the bottom line. You know, there is the argument like, well, if you're giving Sony your money, then that's the only message that matters. True, but I don't know that they could necessarily ignore. I don't know that they could necessarily ignore, like, well, yeah, they gave us their money, but like 60% were bought physically. 50% were bought physically. How could they ignore that? I don't think they could. So we'll see. Wolverine's going to be an interesting one, because if those comments are anything to go off of, this game is going to sell millions. I want to know how many millions of copies it sells physically. That's what I'm going to be really interested in knowing. And it would be really nice. I don't know. I don't have contacts. I don't have sources, but it would be great to somehow have a contact where I could get information like that. But my hope is that somebody will leak it. I do have a couple of direct donations I missed. PlayStation Contraband says the people upset online are like the ones who tried to convince us that the Odyssey would fail. They are bots / chuds. They don't represent the real world. I mean, I suppose. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about that movie, The Odyssey. I haven't been paying that much attention, but it just kind of comes across my feed, and everything I've seen of it looks kind of awful, like based off the clips and stuff. It just doesn't look good. And I'm like, I don't know. There's just some weird stuff going on with this movie, The Odyssey. You know, is it one of these things where if I watched it myself, I'm like, actually, it wasn't that bad. That was actually pretty good. Maybe. Yeah, sure, maybe. I don't know. But Matt Damon spinning around. But it's, you know, it's Christopher Nolan. There is an argument to be made that the movie's going to do well just based off of his name, the weight his name carries alone. But I get what you're saying. It looks great, Titus. Don't listen to nutcases. I don't know. I mean, the clips I've been seeing are literally from like people who are pirating it, and it's got this like cell phone type quality, and it cuts off at the. I keep seeing this scene of like Elliot Page like running, and it looks so weird, and it's, I don't know. There's always some drama, man. But yeah, it's proving to be a little bit divisive, for sure. I don't think I'm going to end up watching it, though. Cranbat with a $2 direct donation says, bro, you really need to chill on the ego, LOL. On Kick or Twitch, you wouldn't even be considered nearly made it with these views. Cost Microsoft millions. Hilarious. Well, hold on. I get what you're saying. I'm talking about like some years ago. My viewership was different then. I won't lie. It's not this. I mean, I had my moments. You know, I have my moments occasionally. My viewership, though, because of certain changes I've made to my channel, is not what it once was for different reasons. Doesn't mean it's bad. It just, yeah, but it's just crazy to think like there was a time where like I was making videos consistently about Microsoft at certain times where they were getting hundreds of thousands of views. And I don't know, like it's just, it would be crazy. Like people would be referencing them to me like years later, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I mean, I remember, but yeah, I don't know if I cost them millions, but I mean, it's just interesting when you think about how, like, it is true that back when I was being really harsh towards Xbox and I was very frustrated and irate with them, they were in a more weakened state. So, you know, the argument could be made that it was overall more effective because of that. To whereas what people are pointing at now is like Sony's in a position of strength, you know, where, I mean, look at how they're trying to push through here. They're trying to break through the line, man. And they're doing it because it's like, yeah, we're not in a weakened state at all. But I'm not so sure. Like somebody mentioned earlier how Sony's got a lot of things kind of going against them that have added up this generation. And that's why I'm like, how could they possibly hurdle towards next generation with this type of mentality? The only thing I can figure, and I mentioned this very early in the stream, the only thing I can figure is that they know something we don't. And it's going to be funny. Like, it'll actually be laughable when it happens, where it's like, oh, no, we still have physical media and games. It's just a different format now. That would shock but it's like, why would you not say that? But it's like, that's not going to, I don't think that, they're not hiding that. Sony knows more about Sony. I just mean, like, when I say there's something they know that we don't, I just mean, like, I would love to know what that is. Because from my perspective, granted, it's just armchair analysis happening here, but it's like, what exactly does Sony see going into the PlayStation 6 that makes them think it's going to be fine? I mean, yeah, we could talk about things like Bloodborne, and yeah, like, there are certain things they could leverage that would help, but I'm like, I don't know, man. I just don't know. Unless Sony comes out and they're like, PS6, $650, full backwards compatibility, PS1 through 5. That's right, PS3 backwards compatibility. We got Bloodborne. I mean, you're joking, but it's like, no, we got Bloodborne. We got a new Uncharted. We got Venom. We got third-party exclusives. And they're all PS6 only. They're all PS6 only. If Sony did something crazy like that, I'd be like, oh, okay. And now it all makes sense. Now I know why you firmly believed you could get away with this, because if you bring all that to the table, yeah, maybe it could work. With the price being, like, you heard what I said about a $650 PS6? But I mean, like, none of that is on the horizon. No pun intended. Horizon is on the horizon. $600 to $800. I mean, I would be shocked. I think that would surprise people. I think people feel pretty good about that. Ride or Die Jedi Guy says, bro is going to directly reach out. We have a very direct plan to bring the rain. A POTUS thing. Uh-oh. I'm not gonna lie, Jedi Guy, you're making me a little nervous. he's like, no, the guerrilla warfare thing, it's real. It's real. Yeah, we'll see what, like, a Bloodborne PS6 exclusive would help, but I don't. Every report we've heard, Sony's not planning on doing anything with Bloodborne. And you have to wonder, like, what's the play here, Sony? Because let's face it, your first next gen announcement is going down awfully right now. This is a next gen announcement. Them saying we're not having discs next gen. It's not going down well. Yeah, dude, it's about to be MGS for real. So you, aka Mr. Hamster, says only took Sony one decision to bring back Rage BG or Rage MBG. I mean, yeah, I can't be like angry all the time. It's just, it's too much. It's not good for my blood pressure. But it is, you know, I want to maintain the energy because I do think it's important, man. I appreciate to an extent. Like, I see these developers and these publishers coming out and they're like, yeah, we're still doing a disc version. I'm like, that's great. Like, I'm happy that we are getting at least like another year and a half of physical discs. But it's just knowing that, like, here's the expiration date that Sony set arbitrarily. Needlessly. In my opinion, needlessly. I get it. It's like, oh, well, you know, they have to do this because they're playing with the handheld and stuff. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think so. Need? They need to do it? I'm not so sure about that. And Lonely Fades with a $2 super chat says, will you be buying Wolverine and God of War Laufey? As of right now, I'm leaning towards maybe. And I'll tell you why. I have to see how things play out. I don't want to necessarily give Sony another dime. But I have to be honest in saying that at the very, I mean, God of War Laufey, we'll see. Wolverine, I have to be honest in that, like, this is a game that's probably going to break me. I don't want it to break me. But at the same time, though, this is why I was explaining. I'm looking around and I'm like, it would be beneficial to me if I could buy a physical copy of Wolverine and feel like I'm supporting the cause. How are you supporting the cause? I'm sending Sony the message. I'm buying a physical game. I'm buying it physically. Fuck digital. I want nothing to do with digital. I'm buying it physically. But isn't that the ironic part, though? Where it's like, yeah, but what comes after that, MBG? What does come after that? GTA. Yeah, I'm going to buy that physically. Oh, wait. I can't buy GTA physically. So what then? This is why I don't think Wolverine is the play. It's GTA. And this is what brings me to a point where I'm like, we got to regroup. We have time yet. We're still months away from GTA. But that's the thing. Like, you know how I just gave you the scenario? Every PlayStation fan, Wolverine physical. We buy it physically. We're trying to send Sony a clear-cut message. We want the dominant format for Wolverine to be physical, a physical disc. We want to see stores selling out of the game physically because that's how many people are buying it. So Sony gets the message. But what can Sony do? They can hide behind GTA. GTA is going to wipe the floor with Wolverine. And it's going to do so as an all-digital title. And this is why I'm like, Sony planned this out so meticulously. I hate how devious they are. Because it's like, okay, so what's our alternative? What's our options here, MBG? What's the play? Option number one, full boycott. Don't give Sony anything. Okay. What about the people that we know are still going to give Sony something because they want to play games on PlayStation? Okay, option number two, buy all your games physically. Okay, so we have a plan of attack from both angles. Either don't give them any money. If you're going to give them money, only for physical games. Okay. But is there anything else we got to know? Yeah, but GTA. Oh. Look at that. We're breaking records with how many people are buying physical copies of these PS5 games. Not just Wolverine, but Blood of Dawnwalker, Control Resonant, every other game that's getting a physical disc release. We're seeing these percentages. And then GTA comes out and wipes it all away because it's like, oh, GTA sells 50 million copies in a month and it's all digital. So let's take the whole pie here. Let's total it up. What's that percentage look like? Digital is utterly dominant because of a singular game. That singular game happens to be the biggest game in the history of games, and it's digital only. And so the only other, the third prong, I guess you could say, of attack, of like, what can we do? Don't buy GTA? And I feel crazy even saying that because it's like, no one's going to listen to that. So, you know, it's tough, man. Sony is fortified. Yeah, they clipped me. I know they clipped me when I said I'm a grown ass man. I know. And that's where it's like, I got to watch what I say and how I say it, because it's like, it's like I said, I own up to my mistake. My mistake is I did put myself at the center of it needlessly. And that's just the over emotional reaction, which, you know, I'm not the only one, but I didn't need to do that. Again, it's like I'm over here being like, here's what I'm doing and how I feel. In reality, it's like, no, like, I have a platform here. I need to get the greater message across, which I think I did. But it's just, that's the thing. By me behaving that way, it attracts people who are like, I'm watching you fraud. It's like, okay. I just want physical games to stay. It's like, but I get it. I did it to myself, and it's fine. You know, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. But, you know, I'm trying to keep my eyes on the prize here. I mean, what other choice do I have? The only alternative is just to accept that this battle is lost. And I'm not going to do that until it's over. It's not over till the fat lady sings, you know? And in this case, I feel like, I don't know. There's such a significant gap of time between now and January 2028. There's so many different things that could happen. There's so many different variables. There's so many different parameters. But there's one thing that I still can consistently fixate on. It's not GTA 6. It's not Wolverine. It is the PS6. And I do get tired of it. Like, I can't just perpetually talk about it. I mean, we will talk about it a lot. I mean, it's been dominating this entire conversation, but I don't know. We have witnessed firsthand, guys, not once, not twice, but a myriad of times across all these different console manufacturers, we have witnessed what happens when you fuck up your console launch and the level of devastation that occurs after. I don't know if Phantom Blade is digital only. That's a good question. Oh, you might. Yeah, I don't know, Matt. That's a good question. But that's what I'm kind of fixated on here. Is it's like maybe what it's going to take. Maybe. Could be wrong. But maybe what it's going to take is Sony's going to breeze through the rest of this year on the back of GTA 6. The first couple months of next year are going to be probably okay. But it's all going to be to the build up of the PS6. And maybe what it's going to take is a complete fucking meltdown of, oh, Sony, you thought. You poor fools. Like, you thought you were just going to walk out here with a very expensive PS6, a very expensive PS6 handheld, increase the price of PlayStation Plus, announce the increase of probably prices of games going up, I bet you, going digital only, and you thought that was going to work? I don't know. I mean, they have such a I don't know if maybe I will call it a foolproof plan. Bismarck129 with a €5 super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, if we buy GTA 6 in retail store rather than on PlayStation's digital store, wouldn't Sony lose a share of the revenue to retailers? Yeah, I got to look into this. Like, I'm a little bit confused by this because it's like you can buy GTA 6 from a retailer and you get a code in a box. What is the split here? I'm a little confused by this. Like, this isn't a situation where you're buying a card. You're literally like, basically what I'm trying to say is all the areas that they would try to cut costs here. But I mean, I don't know. Because if you think about it, it's like, well, no, we're trying to kill the secondhand market. They're still killing ownership. They're still killing the secondhand market. Those are two big things. They're killing two birds with one stone by the code being in the box. So it's like, yeah, we'll give you the box. We'll do that for you. We'll give you the box. We'll send that box to a retailer. But that's it. That's all you're getting. It does still kill two birds with one stone. And it's like, I mean, I could assume, I suppose, that if you're going to buy GTA, buying a physical box copy of the code is doing something rather than just buying it digitally off the PlayStation Store. But I don't know. All I know is you're still getting it digitally, ultimately. You know? Sony still got you right where they want you. And that's kind of the problem. This is why I'm so curious to see if it's true. Like, there were reports that, like, no, like, Rockstar is doing a physical disc version of GTA 6. I'm like, dude, oh boy, like, that would change everything. If Rockstar announces, like, we are doing a physical disc version, at that point, it really will be like, guys, we need to that would be the game to send the message with. Where it's like, everybody is in agreement. We're not skipping GTA. We're also in agreement. We are buying this physically. But they don't have, like, this is why it feels, the timing of all this, it genuinely feels like Sony and Rockstar worked on this together. Because it's like, what the fuck? What are the chances? What are the chances, man? And that gives you such an uneasy feeling, doesn't it? Like these two mega corporations that are filthy rich, making amazing profits, or at the very least, you know, Rockstar is going to be, or Take-Two Interactive's raking it in, and they're like doing these backdoor deals, you know, of like, we could really fuck them over if we do it like this. We could have complete and total control. And I'm like, that sucks. That just sucks to imagine. Like, they're working together to screw us. Like, come on, man. Come on. All right. Irvin, you're saying, MBG, you have no idea how many people you had the ban over the past 2 weeks. Your initial stance attracted the most toxic people on the channel. It happens. It happens, man. It's nothing new. You know, there's always these moments where, like, I recall, like with The Last of Us Part 2. I mean, that was a nightmare, that whole situation. And, you know, it's just because I know that sometimes I'm on. Capone's like, what are we talking about here? I know that I'm a little bit unpredictable sometimes in that sense of like, oh, you know, is MBG going off the deep end? And, yeah, you know, it's a bit much at times. I agree. It's not healthy for me, truthfully, sometimes. But I can't, like, it's not forced. That's the thing, man, is it's like, I understand, like, people look at the last 2 weeks and are like, you're a liar, MBG. It's like, I wish I was. I wish I was that good of an actor. You don't, like, people don't understand, like, I'm not saying, like, feel sorry for me. Don't. But it's like, I wish I could walk away from that telling you, no, that was just for the camera. No, it's unfortunately, it's too real sometimes. And that's, you know, it's a double-edged sword. I think it's good because I think a lot of people pick up on that. They like, no, like, I'm not bullshitting you. I have no reason to bullshit you. You know, I already look like a clown. I already wear the dunce hat. I'm already considered an idiot. Like, I have nothing to prove to anybody. You know? That's already been well established. So what you get from me is exactly what you get from me. Doesn't mean it won't change tomorrow or next week or next month. But what I can tell you is in the moment, you're getting what's truly real and authentic. And if people decide, MBG, you're too flippant for me, I can't keep up with you, I totally get it. I'm never offended by that. Yeah, I'm a bit much. I get it. You know? Like if people find that you're just out there, bro. I get it. I don't, that's why it's like I've tried to tell people, like people who call me grifters, they call me fraudulent. It's like, okay, that's fine. Like I wish there was it's not that I wish that was true, but it's just like you have the wrong guy. That's what I'm trying to say. But that's fine. If that's how people want to see it, I can't change that. And I don't care to change that. This is, it's like I said, it's not so much about me. It's more so about the messages that we're attempting to send, good or bad. That's really all that actually matters. But we also have, let me see. No, I'm all caught up. Okay. I thought I missed a couple more chats, but we're all caught up, which is nice. Guys, do me a favor. Make sure you're hitting that like button. We're sitting at 185 likes. Thank you all so much for that. We could easily get to 200 likes. It helps the streams more than you know. S&P Global Market Intelligence Report, our forecast is that the component crisis eases sufficiently in 2028, and Sony and Microsoft will bring next-gen hardware at the $600 to $800 range. That would help a lot. I won't deny that. Like, if Microsoft and Sony can keep the prices under control with the next-gen consoles, that will help substantially. But I still think it's going to be a tough sell. I don't know if Sony's actually still doing the dynamic pricing thing, but that's another reason, by the way, we don't want this. That was a whole thing that Sony's been experimenting with over the last year, and they've been caught numerous times. They've been caught numerous times. Like, yeah, if they know you're a sucker and you'll pay more, then that's what they'll charge you. Versus the person who's spending less on the platform, they might sweeten the deal a little bit. And I'm like, it's actually called consumer discrimination is what it's called. And this is why it's like we really don't want Sony to go all digital. Like, I just don't think enough people truly know what's about to go away for them. Where it's like, yeah, you may have not bought a physical game in years. Understand how much Sony's about to screw you when they got you in the PlayStation 5 ecosystem. And we need to talk about that. But the PlayStation 6 ecosystem, and you have no recourse. Your only recourse is leave and don't come back. That's right. Leave your library of games, leave your profile, leave your trophies, leave all the investment. It's the sunk cost here. Like, leave it, and that's it. Goodbye. We're betting that you won't. And that's, I know I sound like a broken record, but it's just more and more people need to try to understand that this is why people are trying. This right here is why people are still fighting to save the physical games, and they're not backing down, and they're continuing to harass Sony on their socials, whether it be in vain or not, is irrelevant. What's relevant is why they're doing it and what they're trying to, either completely stop or at the very least postpone, delay, right? And yeah, I don't know. We live in a strange time where it is bizarre to come across people who it's like, I want to give Sony my money. And I see this not too often, but it does pop up. But I come across these I almost said text, but these messages from people and these replies, and they come off as like, it's like we should be. I don't know if it's real or not. I mean, I can only assume it's not, because it's so bizarre and unhinged behavior where it's like, what do you mean? Like, why do you seem almost grateful that Sony's going to ask you for more money? And I don't know. It is. I do find that concerning, because it's like, you're not a core casual. A core casual at least has the excuse of ignorance. Of they're not really paying much attention, but they're also not the most invested. So maybe it's kind of easier for Sony to like squeeze a little bit more out of them without them even really knowing. It's the people who are paying attention. Yeah, I don't know. Like, dude, that's what's so funny. So you're not the first person to mention that. Like, Moore's Law is dead is kind of proof that there are bot accounts, maybe made by Sony or something. And I'm like, that's insane. I kind of believe it. I won't lie to you. Like, I have found it bizarre for just, it's anecdotal, but just speaking for me and what I've witnessed over the last couple of weeks, I'm like, where are these people coming from? I'm not talking about like viewers that I can recognize and they're like, I'm still on board with Sony. But I mean, literally, like, it does feel like, do you work at Sony? Are you part of their PR team? Are you being paid to say what you're saying right now? Because it seems like you are. It's very, very strange. A new report claims PlayStation could be using social media bots to defend its decision to stop making physical game discs. According to Moore's Law is Dead, AI was used to analyze accounts posting and supported PlayStation's digital-only future. The report says many of those accounts look suspicious with recent creation dates, AI-generated profile pictures, and very similar posting patterns. Oh, man. Oh, it's the same spam post. Digital games, 100%. Physical discs, trash. Stop being angry. Stop being angry kids. Stop being angry children. The backlash against Sony appears to be losing momentum. Jeez, man. That is, I mean, I can only hope that that's not true, but it wouldn't necessarily shock me. I mean, it would be bizarre if it was actually Sony doing it, but I mean, I don't know. I never doubt these corporations, man. I never doubt how far these corporations are willing to go to try to change the perception, because remember, the perception is the reality. And that's something that I think a lot of people lose sight of, is like, sure, Sony can have their eyeballs glued to the spreadsheets and the bottom lines, but understand that outside of that boardroom, the perception is the reality. And even if they don't realize it immediately, it will always catch up. It will always catch up. How people perceive your brand matters. I mean, that's business 101. I don't need to be a business executive to tell you that. How people perceive your brand matters deeply for the long-term health of that brand. And that's, I think, that's just something that I want to continue to emphasize. This is why I do view this as a more long-term thing, where if Sony isn't going to get their comeuppance now, it's coming down the line. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to be Xbox that comes in out of nowhere with a haymaker, or Nintendo, or what I think is most likely is Sony's going to haymake themselves. You ever see the clip of the guy who goes to do the uppercut and literally just punches himself in the face? That's Sony right now, and I think they're halfway up. They're halfway there. And I that's why I'm saying, like, we're watching it in slow motion. And I think that they're gonna hurt themselves. I think they already have hurt themselves, and I think they're only gonna do more damage. Again, unless they come out with some kind of shock announcement that nobody sees coming, that makes everything make sense all of a sudden. But our age of bronze is collapsing. All right. Let me check on okay, so there's something else I wanted to talk to you guys about. I don't know how long I'm going to talk about this particular topic, but I think we have to bring it up. I would be remiss not to. I'm not trying to make all of the topics negative, specifically negative towards PlayStation, but we are in a situation right now where there's really not any significantly positive news for PlayStation. You know, I don't want to get totally lost in the sauce. I want to be able to continue to keep. I want to do what I believe is my job, and my job is to keep you guys informed with different topics regarding PlayStation. It just so happens that the next topic is about Marathon's director quitting. And thank you for the soccer trophy, Southern Booch. I appreciate that. Oh yeah, Wolverine I think is still seen as a positive for a lot of people, and I don't want to. I want to be fair about things, as fair as I actually can be. Like, that's why I'm saying Wolverine doesn't look bad. Wolverine looks amazing. I don't want to see Wolverine fail. You know, I know that some people want to see Wolverine fail just to spite Sony, and I feel bad about that because I'm like, Insomniac I don't think deserves to eat shit over Sony's dumbass decision, but no dev does. You know, the indie devs right now that are eating shit with their marketing because it's associated with PlayStation, they don't deserve that either. But it's like, this is how desperate people are to try to get the attention of Sony to change it, you know? But yes, it gets worse for Bungie. So I have a report here from Gaming Bolt. It says Marathon is currently Bungie's focus, especially in the wake of Destiny 2 ending support, but it will be without its game director, Joe Zegler. He announced today that this was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. He announced that it was his last day at the studio. So, I mean, he's just gone. He's just out. Del Schaff the third, I don't know if I said his name correctly, is taking over his role, with creative director Julia Nardin also helping to, quote, guide the team forward. Both of them have been operating in a strong leadership capacity for the team and are ready to guide Marathon into the next chapter with an even better and brighter future, says Zegler. As for me, I'll be heading to something new somewhere else and we'll update you on where and what soon. So what's interesting about this is he was not fired. He quit. He literally was like, I want to go work somewhere else. It's over. Like, it's over, man. It continues by saying, well, it sounds like he's moving on to greener pastures, potentially at another game development studio. It's not exactly the best look for Marathon. Besides facing its own layoffs, the extraction shooter player numbers have absolutely cratered on Steam. The last time it averaged above 10,000 concurrent players was on June 27th. Jeez. And Season 2 Nightfall faltered in sustaining interest, even with a free week. Of course, support continues as the new Vault Breaker PvE mode launches on July 21st. It sees groups of 1 to 3 runners venturing into the Cryo Archive, opening vaults to recover data and enhance special sponsored kits for better chances at future runs. I mean, this is a situation and a topic where it's like, it kind of feels similar to when we try to talk about like what's going on with Xbox. It feels difficult because it's like, what is left to say? It's going in the exact direction that I suspected, that we've been watching it go in for literally years now. But it's like, okay, well, is there a future for Bungie? I don't think so. I think Bungie is done. I think there's no Destiny 3. Destiny 2 is done. Marathon is clearly done. What is the future of Bungie? Now the director of Marathon just straight up quit. And he sees the ship is sinking and he's out. Bungie was just cut in half through mass layoffs. They went from about 800 devs to 400, which are still a massive team, but I'm not sure how much that means when their game is flatlining. I don't think there's a future for Bungie, man. I think Bungie had their time in the sun, and it's a sad but real thing that happens where it's like once beloved, great, talented studios that produced some of the most iconic franchises and iconic video games in the industry, they rot. You know, they fall and they can't get back up. And it just ends with a whimper. I feel as though that's Bungie. I've seen it happen numerous times with other development teams throughout the years, and unless they have some surprise up their sleeve that we don't know about, and they come out in September or next year and they announce something and people are like, oh, man. Yeah, Bungie was definitely a spur-of-the-moment purchase. Absolutely. We have a $2 direct donation from Wallroar. He says, did you talk about Bethesda? We are getting New Vegas 2, Fallout 5, and Fallout 3, and Envy Remake with The Elder Scrolls 6 in game testing. This is a huge W for gamers. I actually do have a report up. I meant to cover this in my video today, and I'll cover it in the video tomorrow. But I try to not make my videos go too long. But it says here, following the recent layoffs and rumors of the new Fallout game in development at Obsidian, Bethesda Game Studios has now shared a lengthy message outlining the entire studio's roadmap for the coming years. The biggest takeaway is that the studio is doubling down on all of its franchises, though with a particular focus on Fallout and the Elder Scrolls. Starfield isn't going away anytime soon. After 17 million players and nearly 1 billion logged hours in the game, the studio will continue expanding the sci-fi game with new stories, gameplay improvements, and additional updates while preparing for the launch of new Starborn content in 2027. However, the roadmap makes it clear where Xbox CEO Asha Sharma's priorities lie. First and foremost, Bethesda confirmed the partnership with Obsidian on a new Fallout game. Moreover, Bethesda Game Studios has begun production on Fallout 5, powered by Creation Engine 3, just like The Elder Scrolls 6. Meanwhile, Fallout 76 is expanding with a Raven Rock expansion next year featuring a prequel story to Fallout 3. The studio also confirmed that remakes of both Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas are on the way, though we already knew that from the strong rumors circulating over the past couple of years. Bethesda did not say when these would be unveiled. However, they might have dropped a hint when they said there would be a special event in Washington, D.C. for Fallout's 30th anniversary in 2027. Fallout Day falls on October 23rd. Of course, The Elder Scrolls 6 remains a high priority as well. As the primary development project for Bethesda Game Studios, it is the primary development project for Bethesda Game Studios at the moment. The message acknowledges the long wait from Skyrim, which recently passed 65 million units sold, but teased that the team is excited about the new game, loves how it looks, and they play it every day. Lastly, it was confirmed that ZeniMax Online Studios will collaborate more closely with BGS going forward. The message didn't say it outright, but it certainly sounds like they're going to help with The Elder Scrolls 6, though it's unclear how they'll be able to do that when they'll also have, to keep up with The Elder Scrolls Online. So yeah, this is, I guess, it makes sense, right? We just talked about the mass layoffs that occurred at Xbox, and they're still occurring. But yeah, Bethesda Game Studios has been completely reworked. And one of the rumors we heard prior to the layoffs was that basically Bethesda Game Studios, if you're not working on, you're either working on Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and that's, kind of it, right? That's the way it's going to be going forward. I don't think it's a bad thing, ultimately. Like, I mean, it might be a necessary thing. I think that Bethesda was acquired at a time when Phil Spencer was there, and I think Phil Spencer, I think this is obvious in hindsight, is like, yeah, you can run your stuff how you want. We're hands off, man. And we see what happened. The wait for The Elder Scrolls 6 is getting ridiculous and nonsensical. I mean, Wallroar, I think your excitement, you're not alone here, because I think this is what a lot of BGS fans want. There is, I think, a concern, though, right? The concern is like, are they moving too fast? Are they slimming down too quickly and moving forward too fast, where these things are going to converge? And it's like, like trying to force these things out sooner isn't necessarily going to help. Like, maybe, I don't know, like there was a reason it's taking so long. Maybe that's just how long it's going to take. But it's hard to determine, because it could be just terrible resource management. Like, if it turns out that actually it's not that it needed to take that long, it's that shit was all over the place. BGS needed to be completely reoriented, and they needed better leadership, better management, where it's like, here's what we're doing, and here's how we're doing it, and here's where the resources are going. Let's go. Now the plan is laid out. The ball's rolling. Let's get a move on. That would be good. You know, I feel like Bethesda, I don't follow Bethesda closely. You guys know that. Yeah, I mean, Naughty Dog has, exactly. They've had their own issues. Naughty Dog, they're in a, they have their own situation. Bethesda Game Studios is not something that I have followed that closely because they're not, I don't know. I've never been able to get into Bethesda's RPGs. The Fallout series, Elder Scrolls, it just never spoke to me, you know, and I've tried them. But it's clear that, like, yeah, they have massive fandoms, and these are huge franchises. And I think what Microsoft clearly needs at this point, granted, we could have told them, we told them this years ago. Many people told them this years ago, and they said no. I'm literally seeing reports coming out that executives are now, not just executives, but like Xbox Game Studios executives are now speaking out against Game Pass. I'm like, this is crazy, but necessary, I suppose. It's like, yeah, wrap it up. It's like the only thing that was ever going to, like, this is what you guys should have been doing this whole time. So they took the long way, the long, painful, agonizing way around just to come back to the same spot. It's full circle. They're going back to exclusives. They're reevaluating what games they may or may not want to release on PS5. They want to sell a console, seemingly. They want to give a reason for that console. They want people to buy their games at full price. They tried to uproot the industry, Microsoft. That's what Phil tried to do, and he was unsuccessful. Now we're seeing, no pun intended, the fallout of that and the correction. And there's an argument to be made that there needs to be an overcorrection here. And maybe this is that. This is the overcorrection. It's brutal. It's savage. It's unfortunate. Totally on this. It didn't have to be this way. But it's where we are. And the overcorrection for BGS is exactly this. We're not fucking around anymore. You're making Fallout, and you're making Elder Scrolls, and we're getting to move on with the Elder Scrolls 6. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, it feels like, as somebody on the outside looking in, seeing how long it's been since the Elder Scrolls 6 was announced, it's like, this, I think this might be necessary. Like, I just want, like, what have you guys been doing this whole time? You know? And yeah, Fallout, people want, the thing that's most interesting to me, though, is like Obsidian. Like, I want to ask for anybody here who's a big fan of Bethesda Game Studios, how do we feel about the announcement and the news that Obsidian they're being moved to Fallout? I feel like my gut tells me people actually are happy about that. Because people love New Vegas. You know, I think people want to see Obsidian do more with Fallout. Am I wrong about that? Creation Engine needs to die. We have Lund with 2 super chats. Thank you, Lund. He says, about what you said about GameStop, they're not really a game company anymore, and they're trying to get eBay. They were trying to get eBay before that. They've been closing stores to also become a Bitcoin company. Everything will be digital, not just games. It's just evolution. Damn. Yeah, I mean, I've seen headlines with GameStop and how they seemingly are not, really a game company anymore. At least that's not really what their thing is. Hold on. I gotta grab my chair now. I gotta sit down. My arm's killing me. Bringing in the big boy today. All right. This is a good spot. What is this that you posted, Irfan? Yeah, here we go. GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen insists Sony killing physical discs doesn't matter at all because video game sales make up so little of his business. GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen has sparked a fiery debate in the gaming community after remarking that sales of physical games are, quote, totally irrelevant to his business. It's just insane. Cohen made the divisive statement on July 16th in an interview with Bloomberg TV after being asked how GameStop could be impacted by Sony's industry-changing decision to stop printing physical game discs for new PlayStation games starting January 2028. In response, he argued that the bulk of GameStop's income hinges on sales of collectibles rather than gaming software, insisting that the games themselves are chump change compared to the figures, merch, and trading cards GameStop is currently focused on putting in stores. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all, he told the outlet. Software, it mattered in the past. Software today makes up less than 12% of the business. God, that's insane. And collectibles make up over half of the business. So it's totally, totally irrelevant. GameStop is a business that was on the brink of bankruptcy, and everybody was betting against it for good reason. Cohen said earlier in the interview, and now the company is making more money than it's ever made in its history. Jeez, man. I mean, I wasn't aware. Gotta be honest with you, man. I was not aware that much of GameStop's business wasn't video games anymore. Like I knew they were on the brink for a long time, but that is crazy to me. Like they really did pivot. I guess they will be able to survive, but it just feels weird, doesn't it? Because like I know like the name GameStop game can mean many things, not just video game. But to me, GameStop, it's video games. GameStop will always be video games to me, man. And, but good for them. Good for them, I suppose, for finding a way to survive. Because I thought they were done many years ago. They found a way. I don't really shop there that often. I mean, this generation, I probably shop with them a couple times, but not often. Not often at all. It's strange to see the evolution in things, sometimes. Let me see here. Okay, hold on. Trying to just realized that's playing in the back. Hold on. I was wondering what the hell that noise was. We have another direct donation from Wallroar. Thank you so much for that, man. He says, The Elder Scrolls 6 is playable. F yes. Obsidian and Fallout. Love the ship. Or you're saying you love Fallout. The ship needed to be corrected. This is what Xbox needs. Why? Hold on, let me read. I'm sorry. I did a lot of reading today. My brain is scrambled. The ship, it needed to be corrected. This is what Xbox needs to be more lean and focused. I mean, yeah, I can't disagree with that at this moment in time. The game output, I think, from Bethesda Game Studios it's just been lacking. They do need to be more focused. I don't know that we can really fault Xbox at this point. And you can't fault Sony either. If anything, Xbox is now validating what Sony chose to do this generation. I think Sony bet on the right horse. And that is, you need to focus on the franchises that are going to sell. Because if you don't, it's going to hurt. And it's going to cause problems. And yes, that does sound disappointing in some sense, where it's like, so there's like no room for risk taking and creativity and different things. And it's like, well, Microsoft tried that and we see how it went. Sony tried that at times too, and it didn't go too well for them either. And it's well, no, I was just talking about Bungie as well. We just kind of shifted to Bethesda Game Studios. Dude, Bungie, the difference between Bethesda Game Studios and Bungie is I think there's a future for Bethesda Game Studios. I don't think there's a future for Bungie. That's my honest to God assessment of the situation. Like, I think Bethesda Game Studios can find immense success by focusing on their big franchises I think some people will be a little bit disappointed, but I don't know. It could be the necessary thing that had to happen. I don't think Sony has any idea what to do with Bungie. I don't think Bungie knows what to do with themselves. The clear play was supposed to be Destiny 3, and Sony said no. I saw that. That can't be true. You're saying Bungie's making Borderlands. Have you seen that? But that was like a 4chan post. What does that even... What? On every level, what? Could you imagine Bungie's making Borderlands, an IP that Sony doesn't even own? But Sony's licensing out their studios. It sounds insane. That sounds utterly insane. Could you imagine if that was true, though? That would be nuts. All right. Let me see. Were there any other... Okay, yeah, so I wanted to cover this topic as well. All right. Mortal Shell 2 developer. By the way, have you guys seen the gameplay for Mortal Shell 2? I mean, Jesus, man. Game looks awesome. Mortal Shell 2 looks amazing. Like, they really stepped it up. I did play the first one, and I enjoyed it. It was tough. It was a tough game, but the sequel looks really good. Mortal Shell 2 developer Cold Symmetry has shared that it's extremely unlikely it will be able to bring the Revered edition of the upcoming Souls-like back into stock before the PS5's game launch on August 20th, 2026. Demand for the boxed copy has, quote, exceeded expectations. You hear that, Sony? Physical copy exceeding expectations, you sons of bitches. Outstripped supply, meaning only the base version of the game is left for anybody wanting a physical copy of Mortal Shell 2 in most territories. On top of the game itself, the Revered Edition bundles in a physical art book and art cards, as well as digital bonuses. So, yeah, this was something that they officially shared, and, you know, this is why I'm saying it's going to be a long battle and it's going to be an interesting ride. How many more publishers are going to come out and start to lean towards like, hey, we're the good guys. We're still doing physical. Oh, look at that. We're selling out. Look at the demand. Apparently, they have paid 2K to team up with Bungie to remaster Borderlands 1 with the Destiny-style gameplay. That would be, dude, that would be one of the, like, probably the most bizarre turn of events, if that's actually true and what happens with Bungie. But Mortal Shell 2, guys, you should check out, if you're in the Souls likes, you should check this game out. It looks very promising. And I did play the first one. It was a smaller game. I think they increased the scope of this game quite a bit. All of our topics are disc related. I know. That's what I'm telling you. Like, it's not going away. People, you know, I run into people who are like, we want to move on from this. And it's like, we can't. Like, this is, if you're planning on engaging... And it's not just me, by the way. It's like, if you're planning on following anything PlayStation related, this is going to come up over and over and over again. And I'll tell you why. It's because it's too soon. This shouldn't be happening in this way. And that should be, for the people who are getting frustrated that it won't go away, that should be your sign. That is the sign. It's not, there's a reason it's not going away. You can call people annoying all you want. It's because Sony, they did it too soon. It wasn't supposed to go down this way. If it's the albatross around Sony's neck, there you go. I mean, look, man, if we, it's like I said, if we were at 2% people buying physical on PS5, this would have went away already. It would have lasted a couple days and it would be gone. Sony came at this as if there were less than 2% of people buying physical on PlayStation. That's just not the case, man. That's why I look at them like, Sony, why did you do this? God damn. Like it just totally unnecessary. Irfan, you're saying MBG buckle up. Only 10 days until Sony's earnings. Do keep in mind, and we're going to cover that, but do keep in mind the earnings that we're getting from Sony next don't cover. It only covers up to June 30th. However, see, what's interesting about the Irfan is that April, May, June, those are the 3 months that the next earnings report we get from Sony is going to cover. I wonder how bad it's going to look. Because even though I know, and you know, and we all know, well, you know, whatever negatives we see, this was prior to the announcement, it can still be used against them. Like Sony, things were already not looking great. And then you made this decision. I'm going to be very curious to see what their results are, because something tells me that they're not going to look great. And it's going to be very, very interesting to look at that data and look at those numbers and to keep in mind that this was before they announced their ending discs. I wonder if there's going to be some kind of stat in there, though. Sony's going to come out and be like, we're now reporting that only 4% of people were buying physical games. Well, they're probably going to pull some shit like that. I bet you. They're going to find a way. They're going to find a way to like word it, and they're going to try to create a headline. I could see Sony trying to do that in this instance. Yeah, I mean, shareholders probably will ask some questions, I would assume. They're going to be curious. Sorry, I have to lean back a little bit here. The muscles are starting to really tense up. I'm gonna have to get like a friggin' moist heating pad or something. I know you said it backwards. It's all good though. Guys, do me a favor. If you haven't already, hit that like button. We're at 193 likes. We are 7 likes away from hitting 200 likes. Thank you guys so much. And like I said, if you want to contribute to the channel directly, you can become a member. We are going to have members content coming this week, so consider becoming a member. Gift memberships if you want. We hit 55 today. We still have time if you want to contribute to that. Get closer to the 75 mark. Feel free. Direct donations, super chats, all that stuff. It helps. Thank you all so much. I'm really grateful for the community and the support we have here. We see through you, Sony. We're looking through you. Let's see, what other reports do we have here? So I just want to go back to this for a moment. There was a independent developer, Weird Beluga. They are making a game called Dusk Fade, and they put out their trailer, okay, on their own account. They have about 20,000 followers. Creators of Clyde the Snail and Dusk Fade releasing August 13th, multi-platform. And so, yeah, they put out their trailer. They say pre-orders are available on Switch 2, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. Pre-order before launch, grab a 20% discount. And the official PlayStation account, this is important to highlight because it reinforces how there's damage, real damage being done here. And we have to ask ourselves how much Sony cares and how much their partners care. The official PlayStation account retweeted this, and it basically just brought a shitstorm to this indie dev. And it actually got so bad that the official Dusk Fade account responded and said, hey, everybody, we love physical games too. We'd love to make boxed editions of Dusk Fade a reality, but as a smaller indie team, we need to see how our digital launch goes first to see if it's even feasible for us. And so I do feel bad for the devs because it's like, they don't deserve this. But if you wonder why, like, why is it getting this bad? Why are third-party indie devs getting caught in the crossfire? It's because if people feel as though it's the only way they can reach Sony now. You know? The hope is that Sony will, the hope is that we upset these devs, hopefully not indie devs. It's like that's it, the bigger devs, bigger third-party publishers. We upset them. They express their frustration with Sony. You're like, Sony, what are you doing? Now you're hurting us. And Sony's, people are desperate, man. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. And that's the reality of the situation is Sony's ignoring us. Sony's ignoring their players. They won't respond. They won't answer. They won't say anything. They are still just ignoring and shunning and pretending like none of this exists. And, you know, I feel genuinely bad. Ignore the players. Yeah, right? I feel genuinely bad for these games where it's like these games don't deserve to be caught in the crossfire, but it's like it's becoming like collateral damage. It's very sad. All right. What else do we have here? Oh, yeah, guys, we have another report here. Definitely have to cover this because this is I think this is a pretty big deal. I don't know if it's a huge deal, but definitely something. This is placed. It's also bad news, unfortunately. Like we have more bad PlayStation news, but this one is kind of a freak accident type thing. So this is an exclusive report from Deadline. This is a shocker. Prime Video's God of War will have a new actor playing Kratos as the lead role in the high-profile fantasy drama series. And they're now being recast. This is what Deadline has learned. The decision was made after careful consideration by the studios on the show, Sony Pictures Television and Amazon MGM Studios. It comes after Ryan Hurst, who had originally been cast as Kratos, was seriously injured on the set of the PlayStation video game adaptation in late June. This is a heartbreaking development for Hurst, who underwent a physical transformation after getting the role. He put on 40 pounds of muscle and worked hard for months on the Vancouver set filming and physically demanding. He worked hard on the Vancouver set filming the physically demanding role until getting hurt performing his duties. Ryan Hurst tore his bicep while doing a stunt on the show, as first reported by TMZ. According to sources, he has since undergone surgery and is now recovering. God of War paused production immediately following the incident and remains on hiatus. But Ryan Hurst's projected recovery time is unclear. But for it's a serious bicep tear requiring surgery, so it will typically take anywhere between 4 to 6 months before he could return with full strength, taking up to a year. So even after 6 months, he wouldn't be at full strength. Given the physicality of the role, it will likely not have been safe for Ryan Hurst to resume filming until sometime in 2027. According to sources, Hurst's full recovery is the priority. The period required for it was longer than the production shooting schedule could accommodate, leading to the difficult decision to recast. Prep is expected to begin mid-August for a mid-October production start. So, god damn, man, that sucks. Like, kind of feel really bad for the guy. He was very excited for the role. He looked terrific in the role anyway. I don't know that was necessarily his fault as much as the makeup and costume department really dropped the ball. But yeah, that's brutal. A bicep tear does need to be fixed through surgery, and it's a very long. Yeah, it takes like well over a year to recover from to get full strength. That sucks, dude. I really wonder who they're gonna get now to play Kratos. So we're gonna have a second announcement at some point of like, here's who's playing Kratos. Second time now. Ryan Hurst, I have to admit that, like, I feel really sorry for the guy. Like, that just sucks. That's a tough break. But I have to admit, like, I was kind of afraid that I was just going to hear Thor. For those who don't know, Ryan Hurst was the guy who played Thor in God of War Ragnarok. And I'm like, he looks the part mostly. I don't know, though. Like, it's going to feel really strange. You know what I mean? So we'll see who they get next. Hopefully it's not a downgrade. What is this, Surfing? Oh, yeah, dude, I love that. I love that clip, the collateral damage clip. I can't play it though. It does get copyrighted, unfortunately. Bring in Triple H. He's too old now. Apparently the role, yeah, it's physically demanding. So there you go, man. Not a great update for the God of War TV show. You do have to wonder how it's going to turn out. I mean, I am nervous. I won't lie to you. I'm nervous about it. Christopher Judge it is then. I don't think he can do it either. He has back problems. They need somebody who is mature and, seemingly a little bit older, but somebody who's physically fit, and that's somebody who is going to be able to do the demanding, be up to the task of the physically demanding nature of the role. We have another song by Gaming Survivor. That's a 5-minute song. All right. Guys, do we want to hear a 5-minute song? I might have to save this one, Gaming Survivor. That's a long one, bro. Guys, listen, we're going to be streaming for 10 more minutes, okay? I'm going to be hanging out with the chat for 10 more minutes. Make sure you're hitting that like button. We are sitting at 55 members on the day. If you want to become a member, like I said, we have members content coming. Consider renewing your membership. Consider becoming a member. Consider gifting memberships. If you have any other donations you want to drop, now is the time to do it because we will be wrapping up shortly, okay? In the meantime, though, we are going to continue to talk. Gaming Driver's like, play it. I'll save it. What is it? It's called From Physical Gaming to Dust. Hang on to it. The time is coming. We can only play a 5-minute song under the most intense of circumstances. I mean, this is intense circumstances, but play it. All right, how about this? I got an idea. If we get to 75 members now, I'll play it as the intro to my next stream. It's a perfect time. My intro, the intro while people are filing in. More people will hear it up front. Got to hit set. I'm trying to incentivize you guys. Is that good incentive? I don't know if that's good incentive. I don't want to donate. Yeah, Irvin, I did that with your song. It was nice and relaxing. A little positive vibe to it. Positive vibe. Yo, it's Buzz. You're saying, why do I never get a membership when they're dropped? No, I can't stop you from getting one. I will let you know the next time you see somebody drop a member gift, whether it be 1 or 50, you see it pop up at the top of the chat. Click on it. Make sure you're opted in. Sometimes people don't realize they're not. You still have to opt in to receive member gifts. And occasionally I run into people where they are wondering, like, how come I'm not getting one? And it's because you're not opted in. Just like double check that you are. If you are opted in and you're not receiving one, how do you opt in? So like I said, if somebody does, we have like 7 minutes left. If somebody does drop member gifts between now and the time I end the stream, click the icon at the top of the chat, the gift icon, when it pops up. And it'll ask you to opt in. If nothing pops up, then that means you're already opted in. Oh, my arm is killing me, guys. Yeah, I would like to stream longer, but it's tensing up. I was good for the majority of the stream, but now I'm feeling it. The nerve is being compressed. Need a welfare check on boss. Oh, man. MVG, I got to run, bro. Got some yard work to finish. Good luck. If gaming dies, I might take up landscaping as a hobby. Well, hey, If it dies, man. Yeah, I mean, it's a piece. It can be a peaceful hobby. Watch out for the poison ivy. Watch out for the poison ivy, man. Leviathan says he never gets one either. Well, we'll see. There's been much less of a focus on memberships in the past, I'd say 3 weeks, because like I said, the member content was on a hiatus, and, I was kind of just focusing on getting the streams out there, and people have been super chatting. We're going to bring more of a focus back to memberships as we go forward. We did great today. We're at 55. We'll see if that's where we end. If that's where we end, thank you guys so much for that. We'll continue to try to get more people on to the memberships. I don't want to, there were times where I was experimenting with my regular streams, seeing how they would do as members content. It's just not going to work that way. I'm not trying to paywall my regular content, but I'm going to try to continue to create bonus content. The first thing you'll get, if you remember this week, is some gameplay commentary pre-recorded. Later on in the week, we're going to do a members lounge. We might do, I don't want to overpromise, but we could, depending on how things go, we could do multiple members lounges sometimes throughout the week. I know some people miss those members lounges. And, beyond that, when September rolls around again, we're going to bring back Morning with the Misses, hopefully on a weekly basis. So, I'm looking to ramp up the member content again. That's the hope. But while maintaining the normal output we have with my videos and, my topic-based streams. So those will just, remain as is. You taught yourself classical guitar about 8 years ago. Your real passion, however, has always been flamenco. So I eventually bought a flamenco guitar. That's awesome. That's awesome, Irfan. Self-taught. You have no formal academic background in music. Everything I know comes from my ear. I'm the same way with drums. Yeah, I totally understand that. The World Cup finals are now live. Well, hey, if you've been taking time out of your schedule to watch my stream, to watch my content, I really appreciate that. I know that a lot of people are watching the World Cup as well. Terrible at reading music. Yeah, I tried to learn how to read music a while ago, and I'm like, dude, I am definitely too stupid for this. I mean, it's like a whole nother language, man. Oh, man, my freaking arm. All right, we got 3 more minutes, guys. 3-minute countdown. Last call. If you want to drop any support, now is the time to do it. I should be back here tomorrow. That is the goal. I should have a video out tomorrow. We should have another stream. And I would like to have the members content out either tomorrow or Tuesday. That's what I'm aiming for. Okay. That's the upcoming schedule. Videos, hopefully all throughout the week. Streams all throughout the week. But yeah, I'm hoping as well too that we will be able to talk more in depth about other topics. I do acknowledge the fact that we have basically only been talking about this PlayStation situation, and that conversation isn't going to go away, but it's not going to be the only conversation we have. It's not going to be the only main topic of discussion going forward, because I know it's getting a little bit, I am trying to be considerate of the fact that people do want to have discussions about some other topics, and I will do my best to accommodate that. So thank you for bearing with me. All right. Let me just double check and make sure I didn't miss any direct donations. No, I think we're good. I got them all covered. That's good. And I don't think I missed any super chats either. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I got to be careful because sometimes YouTube, lately there's been some weird stuff going on with YouTube. Sometimes when I would have fan funding up, it just wouldn't show certain super chats. I'm double checking one more time. I want to play it completely safe. Okay. Yeah, we're good on that. All right, yeah, we're all caught up. Good. All right. Guys. Yeah, well, I think we are going to have to cover Xbox tomorrow cuz they're now coming out and saying things about exclusives once again, and we'll cover that and what's going on there. But guys, before I head out, I want to just make sure to thank you for taking time out of your day to watch the stream. If you watch the videos, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. Make sure you're hitting that like button on your way out. We're over 200 likes. Thank you for that. And I also want to just make sure to thank you guys for your direct support. If you dropped any member gifts today, if you became a member, if you dropped a super chat or a direct donation, I really appreciate it. Am I better now? I mean, I'm still going to have problems. This is still going to take a long time to fully recover from. Like I was good for the first like 2.5 hours of the stream, but now suddenly I'm like, the pain is ramping up to a point where I got to sit down and lean back. So I'm just going to have to play it by ear and take it day by day. But my goal, I want to try really hard to get on a more consistent schedule and not let the physical issue that I'm having get in the way as much as it has. So that's my goal. We'll see if it works out that way. But yeah, I'm not going to have to get surgery or anything like that, which is good. But I have to rehabilitate my arm and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how it progresses. But yeah, have a disc herniation, a severe disc herniation, basically a rupture in my neck. So that takes a long time to recover from, and that can be the damage can be permanent in some instances. So the healing process is quite similar to what we were saying about Ryan Hurst. It can take well over a year. So yeah, but gonna try to keep moving forward here. But thank you guys for all of your support. I want to make sure to give a special shout out and thank you to Devil Shooter. Devil Shooter does the timestamps for the streams. I know a lot of you guys appreciate that. So if you see him in the comments with those timestamps, give him some thanks, show him some love. I know he appreciates it. Devil Shooter, thank you so much for what you do, man. And I think that's about it, guys. So go check out the news video I put out earlier if you're interested and you want to show more support. We should be back here tomorrow. I should have another video for you and another stream. And again, be on the lookout for that members content. And that's it. So hit that like button. And guys, I will see you in the next stream. Okay. So until then, take care, everyone. I'm going to check you.